Hokage I can fully level up with one click. Chapter 261 to 280. Chapter 261 _ The originator of the dark turmoil. Okay, very good, Mifune. Next time we meet, I hope you won't come to beg me. Karataki Yagura's face sank, and with a sleeve, he looked at the fourth generation of Reikage and others, and said, "Everyone, why don't we find someone?" The localities continue to negotiate. Quote. Right now, Uchiha Chinyu has invaded the Kumogakure village and has retreated completely. Everyone has seen how dangerous he is. What we need to do now is to work together to fight the enemy. HMPH, the kindness of the fourth generation of Mizukage, our Kumogakure village has accepted it. In this situation, I am still worried. You invite me to Kurigakure village and kill us all. The fourth generation of Reikage snorted coldly and turned to leave. In his eyes, Karataki Yagura is simply a pot that doesn't talk about it. Seeing the fourth generation of Reikage leave, Killer Bee and Dodai didn't stop there, and quickly followed. Hehe, Reikage's words are a bit rushed. You don't mind the fourth generation Mizukage. 2 days ago, Onoki laughed dryly and said, however, the situation is not clear at the moment, and Uchiha Chinyu also doesn't know whether he will attack other ninjas. Village, if we have time to talk about forming an alliance, let's go back to the village to take a look first, so as not to be taken advantage of and end up in the old nest. We will be as embarrassed as Kumogakure village. Quote. Mizukage, see you next time. Goodbye. Rasa, who had not expressed her position for a while, casually agreed, and then turned and left. Let's go too. Mifune didn't stop for a while. After the order fell, he led a group of ninjas and turned and left. With the heavy steel gate slamming shut, in the huge ruins, only Karataki Yagura, Terumi Mei and the others were left standing there with an ashen face. Mizukage-sama, what should we do now? Terumi Mei couldn't hold back her breath. At first, she was still worried that the 5 great ninja villages would successfully form an alliance and then attack Uchiha Chinyu. I never imagined that everything had changed so quickly. Even the Kumogakure village ruled by Reikage, who was full of indifference at the beginning, was almost taken over. In other words, in their eyes, it was compared to Chinyu's smooth suppression of the rebellion and the departure of the tailed beast. Reikage was more willing to hear that Kumogakure village and Uchiha Chinyu fought for 3 days and 3 nights, and it would be better to finally repel the strong enemy. At least, it sounds, no matter how tragic the record is, it is a battle for honor. Instead of passively accepting alms from Uchiha Chinyu after Reikage boasted about Heiko. Suppress the rebellion and let the runaway tailed beast surrender. This ride is ironic. HMPH, what else can we do? Of course, you should return to the village now. Karataki Yagura snorted coldly and said angrily, I will definitely return this grievance to Uchiha Chinyu. Hearing these angry words, Terumi Mei's expression froze, and said, Mizukage-sama, don't you plan to return with us? What's the matter? Do I need your approval to do things? It's you who will be Mizukage now, or I will be. Karataki Yagura's face sank, and she said gloomily, you still think I am not qualified to be Mizukage and want to replace me? The orders are given. The atmosphere in the field changed drastically. After Terumi Mei's face changed, Yuhi's lips were lightly opened and he was about to stop talking. Ching, who was on the side, spoke first. Mizukage-sama, don't misunderstand, Terumi Mei is also for Mizukage-sama. I took the liberty to ask for the safety of my own. After all, Mizukage-sama is about the coexistence of honor and disgrace in our Kurigakure village. Quote. Hey, there are some things that should be said, I will tell you, and some things that shouldn't be said. I hope you still don't bother, or do you think that I will be killed by Uchiha Chinyu's sniper? If there is nothing, you will return by yourself, there are still things to do. Karataki Yagura looked around coldly, dropped the words, turned and left. For a time, in the huge ruins, only Terumi three people with different expressions were left. The strength is not strong, and the temper is not too small. Zai Bu Zan suddenly said. Taking a look, the big beheading hand with a gap in his hand, after a cold snort, backhanded it back. I'm going one step ahead. If you don't cut it, it will still be the same. Ching sighed helplessly. Terumi Mei, don't take what you just said to heart. Let's hurry up and keep up. I'm afraid he will cause something to happen. With Terumi Mei nodding in agreement, the two walked away quickly. After half a minute, a ghostly figure emerged from the soil. Yuhi the gorilla swallowed his tongue, showing a playful expression. Hee hee, I didn't expect the Five Shadows Conference to become like this, but thanks to Uchiha Chinyu, I found the opportunity to infiltrate the country of iron and got a lot of specimens. I will definitely seek revenge for the revenge of the day. Cheng's words, at the end, became extremely cold. Soon, another black shadow appeared in the soil, and the black and white face also had the means to perfectly integrate with the earth, making his identity ready to appear. Orochimaru, it seems that you have found a suitable specimen again. Black Zetsu said with a smile. The Kingdom of Iron has always been neutral, although the samurai does not know ninjutsu, but the strong among them can still be comparable to Jonin, as long as bring them to the impure world reincarnation, and your undead army will rise to the next level. Quote. Orochimaru was obviously not surprised by the sudden appearance of Black Zetsu. After the defeat of Konoha Shinobi, he and Danzo are separated and encounter Black Zetsu, a mysterious being. At first, he had no interest in this guy who was more afraid of death than himself. Mokudan wood-style ninja that only the first generation had, Orochimaru felt that his scientific achievements were being challenged. Even if he tried his best to create Tianzang by chance, which Mokudan wood-style survived, the Mokudan wood-style ninjutsu he performed was extremely difficult and infinitely weakened. However, it was almost perfectly displayed by the self-proclaimed initiator of the dark turmoil in front of him. Of course, this so-called perfection is only compared to the experimental effect in the eyes of Orochimaru, and it is still far from the original Hokage and Senju Hashirama. However, when I think of Black Zetsu's promise to give himself as an experiment, he also provides a so-called White Zetsu clone as a test. This immediately made Orochimaru agree to Black Zetsu's alliance request. After all, in Orochimaru's eyes, this so-called alliance is nothing more than a relationship between use and being used when one's ambition is fulfilled. Orochimaru, can't you keep putting on a staring face? I promise you things will be done. This is my White Zetsu clone, with Mokudan wood-style cells. As long as you incorporate it into your experiments, it will also be of great help to impure world reincarnation in the future. Black Zetsu said with a smile again. The voice fell, his body wriggled quickly, and soon a body of White Zetsu was separated and fell to the ground. Chapter 262 At the border of Taki Ninja Village, Chinyu's figure flickered, appearing like a ghost outside a forest. Kimimaro, who followed behind, wore a yuhi-colored auspicious cloud cloak with a lot of cuts. However, his eyes were like falcons, and there was no hint of tiredness. The sharp eyes turned abruptly, and instantly locked on the forest in the distance. Whizzing. The sound of breaking the air suddenly echoed. One after another, the black shuriken, like a violent storm, shot straight at him. As soon as they approached, a deep and violent shout came from the forest in the distance. Blast me! Boom! The approaching kunai, wrapped in a talisman, burst into flames. The next moment, the low explosion sounded one after another. Bang bang bang. The fiery heat wave rolled back like a frenzy. The surrounding trees were directly swallowed up by the fire waves, and together with Uchiha Chinyu and others, they were not spared either. Kaiden Fire Style Great Fireball Jutsu. 3 figures flashed out in the forest. However, the movements of the hands still did not stop at all. Under the rapid flight, the fiery chakra quickly gathered in the mouth, and detonated again the next moment. As soon as the 3 fireballs blurted out, they took on a stern stance and rolled over to where Chinyu and the other were once again. Boom! The sound of the explosion was almost endless, and the flames roared into the world, burning the woods hundreds of meters in radius. Thick smoke billowed into the sky, and the firelight illuminated the foreheads of the 3 tacky shinobi. Lord Shuinen, I didn't expect that catching a Uchiha kid would attract so many chasing soldiers. It seems that the kid's identity is really not simple. A young ninja in his early 20s flashed a trace of fear on his face. When I remembered not long ago, facing the chasing team, my scalp felt a little numb. HMPH, I was able to start 3 Tomo Sharingan at the age of 7, and that talent is definitely a general existence in the Uchiha family. Taki Shinobi, known as Shuinen, looks thin, but his eyes exude murder. Decisive taste. Looking at Taki Shinobi, he can definitely be called a battle-hardened existence. Lord Shuinen, there is a boy from Uchiha in the chasing team. If we do this, will we provoke the guy in the rumor? Another man said hesitantly. The rumored guy. The expressions of Shuinen and another teenager changed slightly. Of course they knew who the people were vaguely mentioned by their companions. That was Konoha Missing Nin, the existence that shocked the whole ninja world. Thinking of the various victories rumored in the ninja world is enough to make one's scalp tingle. HMPH, that guy can't protect himself now. The 5 Shadows Conference was held to deal with him. Shui Nan snorted coldly and said, when he really pulls out to deal with it, we will have already captured Sharingan. Once he really dares to attack us, our Taki ninja village will be tied to the chariot of the 5 major countries, waiting for him. It will become the anger of the entire ninja world. He spoke in a slightly erratic manner, but his analysis was straightforward, which made the 2 Taki ninjas standing behind Shuinen also relieved. However, just as the smile on his face appeared, the next moment he looked at the eyes in the sea of fire, but suddenly shrank. Big, my lord, there's a huge cocoon of bones in there. Shuinen's expression was stagnant, and he suddenly woke up and hurriedly followed the sound. However, the childish words from behind, filled with indifference, shook their nerves. You mean, my family, are you afraid of the so-called 5 Shadows Conference? That's too naive. Kimimaro suddenly emerged from the ground. With the bones in his hand turned over, he spit out a spear and stabbed towards the south of the water with lightning speed. The violent blow made the 2 young Taki shinobu present feel caught off guard. However, in their eyes, there was a little more happiness. At least, at the moment when Shuinen was killed, they could get enough reaction time for them. However, just as this idea came to mind, a powerful big hand, like iron tongs, was instantly clasped on the shoulders of the 2 of them. With a sudden tear, the 2 of them acted as meat shields. PFF'd. Blood spattered, and the eyes of the 2 young Taki shinobi widened. Looking at the bones that pierced through their abdomens instantly, like a spear, the blood that spilled out quickly disappeared like vitality. I am afraid that even when they died, they never imagined that the seniors they admired would abandon them like chess pieces at this time of life and death. Blast me! The roar suddenly came out, and there was a hint of urgency between the words. Fell, Kimimaro frowned, and saw 2 corpses, with a lot of detonating spells obviously sticking to them. There was no time to withdraw and retreat, and the hot air wave of the explosion rolled back like a frenzy. Boom! The flames soared into the sky, and the tyrannical air waves threw even Shuinen, who had shot violently. However, it seemed to be embarrassed, but Shuinen's body was not in serious trouble. The moment he hurriedly landed, he turned around and ran away quickly without looking back. When he thought of the words that fell in his ear just now, the adult who pointed directly at the words was like an invisible big hand clenching his heart tightly. No way, that guy will never appear here, I must have heard it wrong. Shuinen couldn't help muttering to himself. However, just after taking 7 or 8 steps, the words on his lips changed quickly. No, I must be dazzled, I must be wrong, there is absolutely no chance that he will appear here. Shuinen stopped abruptly. Looking at the bone cocoon that was originally in the flame, it opened like a petal, and on that indifferent cheek, Yuhi's blood like 9 Tomo Mangekyo Sharingan made the thin figure in front of him exude a different mysterious feeling. If, really let Shuinen find an adjective. Unfathomable. My lord, what did he do? Kimamaro's indifferent voice sounded again. Shuinen, who was in shock, had a drastic change in his expression. He didn't have time to think about it. He hurriedly pulled away and looked back. The sight of the scene shook his nerves. I saw Yuhi's cloud-colored cloak, which had been torn apart, revealing Kimamaro's tender figure and cheeks. However, the white bone armor covered on the body surface, as well as the ferocious bone spurs on the back, gave people a horrified taste. Monsters, you really are monsters. Shuinen panicked. Kimamaro, who is only 6 or 7 years old, has already made him unable to obliterate it with all his efforts. Not to mention the unfathomable blood-colored Asura rumored in the ninja world. Provoking such a powerful monster for the mere pair of 3 Tomo Sharingan. Shuinen couldn't wait to swallow the haiku he just boasted about. Hee, don't do it yet, I admire him very much. It's better to be a dead Taoist than a dead friend. Chinyu laughed dryly. He was still thinking about how to find out about Uchiha Itachi, but he didn't expect that he had just set foot in Takino. The boundary of the village was ambushed. Konoha squads who recovered Uchiha Itachi. Chapter 263 _ Let him get tired. Sir, do you admire me very much? Shuinen's face was ecstatic. Now a little kid, Kimamaro, has made him feel tricky. It can be said that there is no chance of winning in the fight. If you can get the favor of Uchiha Chinyu, it is not good to be a missing nin. But it can also save a small life. Of course I appreciate it. Chinyu's smile became more and more bright, and he changed the conversation and said, however, you have no value in existence. The inexplicable words made Shuinen startled at first, and looked at Uchiha Chinyu's warm smile. It was the first time I felt being teased. With his backhand in the ninja tool, he directly took out a stack of detonating talismans, intending to self-destruct, dragging the moment when Uchiha Chinyu committed suicide. One after another, blood vessels that were as black as ink burst out of the soil, and together with the spell, pierced his hand abruptly. Blood splattered, blood vessels as pitch black as ink, bound Shuinen into a zongzi in the blink of an eye. When he reacted, only his eyes could see clearly. The appearance of the person who came, suddenly exclaimed. You're missing Nin Kakuzu. Shut up. Kakuzu glanced indifferently, then walked towards Chinyu, and said, Boss, it seems that you have picked up a good kid again, and his strength looks quite good. You also think it's good, that proves that my eyesight is not dim. Chinyu laughed dryly and said, is there any whereabouts? Yes, but I'm still a step too late. Although I killed all the leading troops, I still let the Hokage I bring Uchiha Itachi back to the village. Kakuzu said and looked at Chinyu. Shuinen, who was tied into a zongzi, also showed disbelief. The troops who were the first to ambush were more numerous and more elite than their squad. However, Kakuzu is now the only one to break it, which reminds Shuinen of the horror legend that spread in Taki Ninja Village decades ago. As Taki Ninja Village, second only to the 5 major countries, it should be able to play a pivotal role in the ninja world like a megacure village. Unfortunately, because of the grudge against Yu Kakuzu, the high level of Taki Ninja Village was washed with blood, so that during this period of time, a power fault appeared. That's why Taki Ninja Village is now hiding behind the waterfall, locking the village to recuperate. Uchiha Chinyu, known as Konoha Missing Nin, the blood-colored Asura, actually recruited such murderers under his command. In the face of the provocation of Hokage, what will be done? This undoubtedly tightened his nerves. It seems that you are still useful. Chinyu looked at Shuinen again and said, go back and tell the Hokage to let out Uchiha Itachi unscathed. Otherwise, I don't mind going in person, you only have 3 hours. Quote. Go in and walk in person. Shuinen's face changed suddenly, and he said anxiously, Sir, there is still a long way to go from here to Taki Ninja Village. I'm afraid 3 hours is too much. Forcibly, Chinyu looked at Kakuzu and said, forcibly. Enough, Kakuzu said indifferently. If it is reluctant, then he is not qualified to continue to survive. I will go back and see for myself, and I haven't walked in my beloved village for a long time, and I don't know if the soil is or not. Yuhi color. Quote. The small voice, like an invisible big hand at this moment, instantly tightened Shuinen's heart. Feeling Kakuzu's gaze momentarily, Shuinen couldn't care too much. Whether it was 3 hours or 2 hours, as long as there was a glimmer of hope, he would rather die from exhaustion than die on the ground. The blood was drained from the whole body, like a mummified corpse, the high level of Taki Ninja Village, which was covered with big trees. Dying Yuhi's soil are simply vivid. Okay, I don't need 3 hours, I will be able to take back the words of the adults. Shuinen nodded in a panic. Kakuzu looked at Chinyu, and with the latter nodding in agreement, he snorted coldly, and directly lifted the resentment that had wrapped around Shuinen. However, there was still a dark blood vessel left, rooted in Shuinen's arm, extending down through the blood vessel, and there was still a trace of the heart before it stopped. Go ahead, once more than 3 hours have passed, you will be directly pierced through the heart, this is the scroll of communication. Kakuzu said coldly. It's time to start. Shuinen took the scroll with a dazed face, and he didn't have time to think about it the next moment, he turned around and ran away. The speed is so fast that even the strength of feeding milk is used, and the back disappears in a blink of an eye. Kakuzu, you don't need this. Chinyu touched the tip of his nose helplessly. Originally, in those 3 hours, he just scare 1 or 2 casually. Now it seems to have to be serious. Boss, you are still the same. Kakuzu's expression was still indifferent. He took out a scroll in his back and said, it has been 2 days since the 5 Shadows conference. This is what happened that day. Oh, Chinyu was a little surprised and said with a smile, Kakuzu, you really have a hand in spying on intelligence, and even the Kingdom of Iron has an eyeliner, but I'm not interested in this 5 Shadow conference, so I won't watch it. In Chinyu's eyes, the 5 Shadows conference had nothing more than 2 results. The first was the success of the alliance, and the second was the failure of the alliance. However, no matter what the outcome, he is still bound to win the tailed beast. With the passage of time, the system has not triggered any opportunities, and sideline and mainline tasks. But in Chinyu's mind, there seemed to be an inexplicable voice guiding him to gather the tailed beasts. As for what will happen in the end, Chinyu doesn't care. He just cares about this process of chasing. Boss, you are still the same. Kakuzu put away the scroll with his backhand and said, however, there are some things you should know. Due to the strong opposition of Konoha Ninja Village and Namikaze Minato, the boss suddenly captured Kumogakure Village, resulting in too much disagreement among the 5 Shadows. In the end, the 5 Shadow Alliance failed. The 4th generation Raikage of Kumogakure Village put down his harsh words and declared that he wanted to fight with the boss. You fight to the death. Killer Bee Jinchuriki Column Force Killer Bee is in the ninja village. What should we do? Do we need to gather all together to fight against them? In Kakuzu's eyes, since Chinyu had already breached Kumogakure Village once, since he did not do it again and again, there was no need for a reason for the second time. As long as Chinyu said a word, they would never say a word. Especially Kakuzu, an old lunatic who has lived for a long time, even in his bones is crazy. Hee, Kakuzu, you are still not suitable for a generation of heroes. If a dog wants to bite you, you don't need to go back and bite you. Let him jump and get tired first, and finally find out how stupid what you did. That expression, it will be very exciting. Chinyu smiled and patted Kakuzu's shoulder. Let's settle the Taki Ninja Village first. I want to know who is the other Konoha team chasing Itachi. Have you got any information? Seeing that, Chinyu did not have the heart to deal with Kumogakure Village, and Kakuzu did not continue to persevere. With a little organization, he revealed everything about the pursuit team. When he heard the names of the 3 people in the team, Chinyu seemed a little surprised. Chapter 264 Showing Up Can Save People. Taki Ninja Village, in front of a huge waterfall. The 3 figures sneaked into the waterfall and groped away. Anbu ninjas who were stationed in front of the waterfall, the white-haired boy who took the lead made a careful gesture of stopping, and his eyes flashed a bit of coldness. Kakashi, why don't you do it? Obito's voice suddenly sounded, with a hint of urgency on his face. If it wasn't for Nohara Rin pressing his shoulders with his hands, I'm afraid he would have rushed out now. This should be the entrance of Taki Ninja Village. Uchiha Itachi fell into their hands, but this kind of thing has risen to the level of the politics of the 2 villages. If we come out suddenly, I'm afraid it will cause trouble for the teacher. Kakashi said in a deep voice. Then Kakashi, do you mean to let Itachi fall into their hands? Obito was the first to lose his temper. Don't forget, what big brother you said that day. Some people's lives are in your hands, and their mouths are on other people's bodies. As long as you think it's right, that's enough. The urgent voice made Kakashi silent. After a long time, he opened his mouth and said, however, he defected with a bad reputation. What do you think of him under such a result? That day, Kakashi watched his father commit suicide with his own eyes. As the hero of Konoha Shinobi Village in the past, he ended his life with infamy. All of this is very similar to Chinyu's current situation. Can I say he's too handsome? Nohara Rin clenched his hands tightly, and said with a slight yuhi on his cheeks. On that day, in the huge arena, they were also present. However, due to the insignificance of status, everything happened too much to be caught off guard. So there is not much chance of showing up. Rin, you're wrong, Obito hurriedly retorted. That's a super handsome man on a horse, killing someone if he doesn't agree with each other, and even beating Danzo who is pointing fingers at him. The most important thing, brother, you didn't kill innocent people indiscriminately, that's enough. It's too handsome to ride a horse. Kakashi was startled. It was the first time he heard that as a missing nin, in the eyes of outsiders, he would be described as handsome. If this choice, when the sun sets on his father, will it also get this title? Who is it? The violent shouts suddenly sounded. Of the 2 stationed, Anbu moved instantly, and the kunai threw out from the backhand, with an awe-inspiring cracking sound, shot towards the place where the 3 were hiding. The violent scene made Kakashi's nerves tense. Anbu ninjas stationed at the gate of the ninja village, one of them is a grandmaster, and the other is definitely good at detection. Just because of that comment, the aura that the 3 of them had hidden suddenly leaked out. This will lead to discovery. However, it was too late to regret it now. Seeing the 2 kunai attacking, Kakashi just wanted to attack. I saw that Obito took the lead. The Sharingan of the double Tomo suddenly turned, and his hands flew up quickly. There is a detonating talisman. If even my companions can die, then I would rather be a missing nin. At least it will be more handsome, just like Konoha White Fang, like Big Brother you. Doden, Earth style wall. Handsome. Kakashi was stunned for a moment, and the ground rumbled, and immediately a huge earth wall rose up, directly blocking the 2 kunai. Boom. The explosion sounded suddenly, and the hot air wave was completely blocked by the earth-style wall. At the same time, Nohara Rin, who was blocked in the back, also showed a sweet smile and said, I also think that this is more handsome. 3 o'clock in the east. Really? Kakashi muttered to himself, his eyes bright, and said, I also like to be handsome sometimes, who made me a genius? The voice of narcissism came out leisurely, and under the seal of the Raiden thunder style technique that flew rapidly, crackling thunder light burst out. At the same time that the ground beneath his feet was torn to shreds, Kakashi dashed out like a single drill. Boom! The earth wall was pierced in an instant, and at 3 o'clock in the east, the pupils of the two Anbu who were waiting for an opportunity to burst into flames suddenly shrank. They never thought that these three, insignificant young ninjas, would have Sharingan and powerful perception ninjutsu. There is also such a fierce and swift Raiden thunder style, which can directly penetrate the earth wall, completely disrupting their sneak attacks. The short distance of more than 10 meters is just a blink of an eye. When they reacted, the hand wrapped around the thunder light, like a long rainbow, directly penetrated their hearts. PFF'd. Blood splattered, and the two Anbu ninjas looked at the forehead guard on Kakashi's forehead, spitting blood and said, You dare to kill us within the borders of Taki Ninja Village, whether it is Taki Ninja Village or Konoha Ninja Village. I will never let you go. Shut up, killers, people will kill them forever. If we weren't good at it, we would have already died in your hands. Obito landed on Kakashi's side and slapped Anbu on the head with his backhand. Anbu Ninja, who was dying, shrank his pupils and completely burped. Don't look at me, you said it so handsomely, it was Big Brother you who said it. Obito shrugged and looked at the waterfall entrance of Taki Ninja Village. Now people have been killed and things have been done. Kakashi, you and we are different. In the same boat, let's go save people. Doesn't that look too handsome? Kakashi took off the forehead guards of the two Taki ninjas with a backhand, and then replaced Konoha shinobu's. At the same time, in the seal scroll, he took out the prepared black cloak and put it on his body. Kakashi who completely concealed his own characteristics. This act of preparedness made Obito unable to help but raise his thumb and said, It's too handsome to ride a horse. Nohara Rin also smiled and nodded and said, Kakashi, I didn't expect that you have learned to be flexible since you met Big Brother you, but it does look a little handsome, but compared to Big Brother you, it's still too far behind. Talking, Nohara Rin and Obito also dressed up. Although using the transformation technique, this effect can also be achieved. However, in case of encountering a powerful sensory ninja, this transformation technique is also useless. So, just in case, the identity of Konoha Ninja Village was completely hidden. You said, if Big Brother you knew that we were doing this kind of thing, wouldn't we think it was too crazy to sneak into a shinobi village to save people? That would make me excited. Obito couldn't help but said excitedly. Kakashi was soon summoned by Byakugan and said, if he is really there, it's our turn to pretend to be handsome there. What's more, if he is really close and wants to rescue Uchiha Itachi, I'm afraid he can save people by showing his face. Having said this, Kakashi's face rarely showed a little fanboy's expression. Chapter 265 The Powerful Cage Level Alliance. In Taki Ninja Village, a man with light blue hair and 3 henchmen landed in the village. Little devil, hurry up, don't give us any tricks, or we won't mind, we'll gouge out your eyes now. A confidant pushed Uchiha, who was tied into a dumpling-like shape. The face of this verbal threat, Uchiha Itachi did not resist at all, but silently followed the pace. However, if you observe carefully, it is not difficult to find that the corner of his eyes will quickly pass around. Remember everything along the way in your mind. Huka, why did you bring the Konoha ninja back? What the hell is going on? A middle-aged man walked over quickly. He has a face with a Chinese character, and his sword eyebrows and star eyes are 70% or 80% similar to the acting patriarch Shimu who appeared in the original book. Seeing the middle-aged man in front of him appear, and the 3 confidants who followed behind the hookah, their expressions changed slightly. Shisha's face sank, and before he could speak, the middle-aged man in front of him exclaimed first. Shisha, are you crazy? This kid has the Uchiha clan's emblem on his body, don't you plan to hit Sharingan? The middle-aged man shouted anxiously, his face ashen. Hurry up and let me go. Don't forget that we and the Konoha ninja village are diplomatic ties. If Hokage knows that we capture the Konoha ninja in private, it will bear the wrath of the big country. Once that time comes, our Taki ninja village's efforts to cultivate and rejuvenate all these years will be wasted. The hysterical scolding reverberated in the heaven and earth for a long time and could not be dissipated. The three confidants, Taki shinobi, who stood behind the hookah, changed their expressions slightly, revealing a hint of hesitation. There is nothing wrong with what Sheu Patriarch said. After all, Taki Ninja Village, after the bloodbath of Kakuzu, has regressed to the level of the 4th and 5th tier ninja village. Right now, if Konoha's wrath is provoked again, the other party will send a Sanin, or Konoha Yellow Flash at will. I'm afraid it's enough to keep them from eating Kabuto. Shisha's face was gloomy, with hawk-like eyes, staring straight at Shiyu, and said in a deep voice, Patriarch, you are still the same. Our Taki ninja village has been dormant for too long, so that people from the outside world are completely silent. Pay attention. Don't forget, we also had a seat when the first generation Hokage allocated the tailed beasts, but now that the Five Shadows Conference is held, it is rumored that even the village of Omegakure was invited, and the Iron Country was chosen as the place for the conference to be held. Our Taki ninja village has shrunk in this corner, and has been reduced to the point where no one cares. Your self-contained thinking has pushed Taki ninja village into the abyss. Snapped. A crisp slap suddenly resounded, and the hookah's cheeks suddenly became hot. Looking at Shiyu, who was furious in front of him, he still said reluctantly, very well, at the moment, the 5 major ninja villages are all fighting for Konoha missing Nin's blood-colored Asura. Things, hold a meeting of the 5 shadows. Quote. Under such a desperate situation, Konoha Ninja Village will not have the chance to free up our hands to provoke our Taki Ninja Village. As long as we obtain Sharingan, we will have the opportunity to awaken the power of Nanao again, with the help of the Water of Heroes, and the family. It is not difficult for the elites to be on an equal footing with the 5 major countries. Quote. By then, the overall situation has been decided, and Konoha Shinobu Village has reacted. What can we do to us? Not to mention, in order to deal with the worst situation, I secretly formed an alliance with a powerful cage-level powerhouse. Looking at the crazy hookah on his face, Uchiha Itachi finally understood why he was being targeted by the hookah. Since Uchiha Madara used Mangekyo Sharingan, controlled Kyuubi, 9 Tails, and the original Hokage Senju Hashirama, and fought to the death. This incident shocked the entire ninja world. It is for this reason that many shinobi villages covet the Sharingan of the Uchiha family. However, the opening of Mangekyo Sharingan is very rare in the history of the Uchiha family. Ninja Village, who has always been covetous, stopped hunting for the eyes of ordinary Uchiha clan members after repeated failures. Instead, like Danzo, aiming at the elite and the genius. With the help of Chinyu, Uchiha Itachi started 3 Tomo Sharingan at the age of 7. This achievement, in addition to causing a sensation in the Konoha ninja village, also shook the ninja world. However, according to common sense, once this kind of genius ninja grows up, it is enough to become the mainstay of the family, Jinchuriki column. In addition to raising them early, they are more likely to wait until they are 12 or 13 years old before they are allowed to be dispatched to the village to perform more dangerous tasks. It is for this reason that Shisha was simply overjoyed when he met Uchiha Itachi. Think of it as an opportunity God gave him. Ask, if let him get 3 Tomo Sharingan, awakened the means to control the tailed beast. Then, with the help of Taki Ninja Village, the legendary hero's water, his strength definitely skyrocketed, reaching one of the best in the ninja world. It's hard to say, but I can still walk side by side with the 5 shadows and lead the Taki ninja village to the era of the 6 shadows. It is precisely because of this kind of ambition that the Hokage will ignore Uchiha Itachi at the moment of encountering it. After leaving behind all his subordinates, he will also bring back Uchiha Itachi. Snapped. The crisp slap sounded again, and the beautiful longing that sprouted in the Hokage's heart was instantly dispelled. Shiyu pointed at the Hokage angrily and said, "You not only shot against Konoha's ninjas, but also colluded with other people. Do you still take me as the patriarch in your eyes? And the water of heroes, that is to deal with the life and death of the village. You will be invited out only when you were robbed. You have no right to know whereabouts at all. What if you provoke Konoha bloody Asura? If you still take me as the patriarch, then let me go immediately, and then go to Konoha with me to apologize." The hysterical growls were almost endless. However, as soon as Shiyu finished speaking, Uchiha Itachi, who had been watching the play, suddenly changed his face. "Be careful." The urgent cry immediately made Shiyu's expression stagnate, and the next moment he felt the breath of death emerging from the soles of his feet. He didn't have time to think about it, and quickly wanted to withdraw and retreat. PFF'd. Blood splattered, and the dazzling kunai flashed instantly with the ruthless color on the Hokage's face. Directly into Shiyu's abdomen. Feeling this heart-piercing pain, Shiyuan stared at her and took a few steps back, revealing an expression of disbelief on her face. "Master Patriarch, if you have anything to say, you should keep your stomach warm. I will lead the Taki ninja village next." Shisha pulled Kuwu back, stuck out Yuhi's tongue, and licked the blood remaining on it. Said, "The so-called Konoha blood-colored Asura, now facing the 5 shadows, is too exhausted to deal with it, and he can't take care of it at all. In case he does come, with the help of my powerful allies, as well as the tailed beast and the technique of heroes, could he still be able to break through my ninja village?" Chapter 266 Is that person him? "Shisha, are you crazy?" A group of Taki shinobi, who were stationed not far away, suddenly changed their faces when they saw this scene, and hurried over. The violent scene shook the 3 confidants who followed the Hokage. There are thousands of reluctance in their hearts for such a violent rebellion that has forced Liangshan. But when they were in the same boat, they couldn't help thinking too much, and they quickly pulled out the kunai, planning to fight offense and defense. However, in the face of this scene, the Hokage did not take it to heart. The moment the smile appeared on his face, Shiyu, who was covering his abdomen, was severely injured, his face changed drastically, and he shouted in a hurry, "Be careful, the Hokage has returned with foreigners. Alien people." The 5 ninjas who arrived at the scene looked stagnant, and were about to disperse their guard and rescue Shiyu at the same time. The next moment, the awe-inspiring sound of breaking the air suddenly echoed. The dazzling ray of light blazed up like a peacock. The speed is so fast and the momentum is huge, it is simply impossible to hide. When the 5 Taki shinobi reacted, the rays of light pierced through their chests. Blood splashed. Yuan stared at him, his face full of disbelief. The vitality of the 5 Taki shinobi quickly disappeared, and with the sound of heavy objects falling, they completely turned into cold corpses. "Shisha, you're crazy." Shiyu's expression froze, and he roared angrily. Watching the Xiaoguang inserted in the chest of the 5 Taki ninjas collapsed and scattered between the heavens and the earth. A dozen figures fell in all directions, headed by a man in a black cloak, and the mark on his forehead made Shiyu's expression drastically changed. "Shisha, you're crazy, you actually colluded with them." Shiyu roared again and again. However, before the words were finished, he was punched in the abdomen by a Hokage. The stinging pain of the injury was directly multiplied. Shiyu opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, and passed out completely in pain. "Hokage, I didn't expect you to be soft-hearted, wouldn't it be nice to kill him?" The black-robed man who took the lead said with a sneer. Shisha motioned the left and right confidants to step forward and said, "The existence of the Water of Heroes, only the patriarchs of all dynasties know about it, and he can't die now. However, now that you are here, with your strength and my team, even if Konoha's blood-colored Asura comes, he will definitely not be able to eat Kabuto and leave." Speaking of which, Shisha seemed to have seen the result and laughed unbridled. In his eyes, he obtained Sharingan with the people invited in front of him and himself. With the Water of Heroes, the strength can definitely surpass Kakuzu, who is known as the strongest ninja in Taki Ninja Village. Once there, it's the highlight moment for Shisha. "Okay, don't forget, I helped you, but don't forget to help me completely seize control of the village." The black-robed man snorted coldly. It took so much hard work to kill that old guy, but he actually gave his position to him. To another person, I can't swallow it. Hee, don't worry, as long as you and I completely seize power, and then form an offensive and defensive alliance, looking at the entire ninja world, who would dare to provoke us? Looking at the two people who were talking unscrupulously, Uchiha Itachi still didn't resist at all, but quietly looked at the black-robed man and his subordinates. Unlike Shiyu, Uchiha Itachi took a lot of time to discover the identities of these people. It never occurred to me, just to see where Nanao was, that I would encounter a rebellion in Taki Shinobi Village. Okay, I didn't expect you to be quite safe. The smile on Shisha's face gradually subsided, and he glanced at Uchiha Itachi with a little greed. "You guys put him in and wait until I bring back the Water of Heroes. And deal with him again. Boy, I advise you to be obedient. Maybe I can save your life, but if you dare to make a fool of yourself, don't blame me for being cruel." Abandoning these words, Uchiha Itachi was still speechless. Shisha didn't say much, and turned around and left. It was followed, this time by an invited foreign aide. As for the three henchmen Taki Shinobu, they were obviously left here to guard Uchiha Itachi. Watching Shisha and the others leave completely, Taki Shinobu, the confidant who took the lead, secretly breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't expect Shisha-sama to see this opportunity to rebel, and even outsiders colluded, and we were still kept in the dark. Dongxing, don't complain, we only have two choices now. The first is to continue to follow the Shisha-sama, and the second is to stand in the Sheu Patriarch's camp and fight against the Shisha-sama. Another slightly older man sighed faintly. One sound. However, before the words were finished, Uchiha Itachi suddenly spoke up. "You have a third option. Let me go and help me find Nanao's whereabouts." "Let you go, and help you find Nanao's whereabouts?" Dongxing, who was standing behind Uchiha Itachi, was stunned at first, and said disdainfully, "Little devil, are you joking? With such a superficial bewitchment, do you really think we will be fooled? Also, you're looking for the whereabouts of the tailed beast. Wouldn't it be your intention to use the Sharingan to control the tailed beast, and then deal with the Hoka-sama?" Speaking of which, Dongxing flipped over Byakugan in disdain and said, "You little bastard is a fool." The two Taki shinobi who were present also smiled, in their eyes. It was a foolish move for a 7-year-old kid to leave the village alone. Now it is too ridiculous to plan to covet the tailed beast of a village. No, you misunderstood. Uchiha Itachi didn't take these hot and cold ridicules to heart, and said with the same expression, "Have you never heard that there is a person who is collecting tailed beasts? 9 big tailed beasts are distributed in the 5 great ninja villages and your Taki ninja village. Decades ago, your Taki ninja village was indeed very strong, so you got the allocation of the tail beast, but after the tossing of missing Ninkakuzu, the strength of your village has been greatly reduced. If that person really aims to collect tailed beasts, between the 5 major ninja villages and the Taki ninja village whose overall strength has been weakened, you say that person will choose to attack there first." The slightly long-sounding voice reverberated in this world. The faces of the people present changed drastically. Dongxing took the lead and couldn't help but ask, "Little devil, is that the person you are talking about?" Urgent questioning tightened the nerves of the other two. They saw Uchiha Itachi nodded in agreement. The three tacky shinobi's hearts seemed to be tightly clenched by an invisible big hand. Although, the Hokage just kept saying that with the support of that group of people, coupled with the hero's water, it cannot be afraid of anyone. But when he thought of the famous Konoha missing nin, the blood-colored Asura Uchiha Chinyu, his heart became hopeless. Chapter 267 The Water of Heroes. At the entrance of the waterfall, three figures appeared like ghosts. Rin, have you sensed chakra's fluctuations? Kakashi, looking around a little, asked vigilantly. After waiting for a few seconds, Nohara Rin opened his eyes, looked at a huge tree trunk not far away, and said, there are no other Taki ninja Anbu around this entrance, but there are many chakras in the big tree in front. Fluctuation, as if something happened. The front. Uchiha Obito followed Nohara Rin's gaze. Kakashi, what shall we do now? To this question, Kakashi did not answer immediately, his brows furrowed, and after thinking hard for a moment, he said, Taki Ninja Village is second only to the 5 great ninja villages. It's really hard to find someone in Taki Ninja Village, but since Taki Ninja Village has caught Uchiha Itachi, they definitely won't let him be alone. In order to avoid the anger of Konoha Shinobi Village, they will be more aggressive. I think in the current chaotic situation, they believe that Konoha Shinobi Village will never turn against a shinobi village for a dead person. Hearing these words, Nohara Rin and Obito's expressions froze. Kakashi, you mean, Uchiha Itachi will be in a place with more people? Nohara Rin asked eagerly. This time, she dared to make up her mind to take part in an action that was designated as missing nin at any time. All because of the relationship between Uchiha Itachi and Chinyu. Right now, if Uchiha Itachi is killed in the hands of Taki Shinobu. Nohara Rin absolutely did not want to see it. Right now, this is the greatest possibility until the exact location of Uchiha Itachi is known. Kakashi nodded in agreement. Now is the time for you to express your opinions. There are many people on the other side. We are still in Taki Ninja Village. This task is completely a near death. You can quit now, it's okay. Having said that, Kakashi looked at Nohara Rin and Uchiha Obito quietly, and did not continue talking. Some words are enough to stop, but too many words will appear inappropriate. And, it's a life or death decision. Haha, Kakashi, you really underestimate us. Didn't you have the heart to die long ago? Are you planning to test us? Obito laughed. Rin Nohara, who was on the side, slapped the back of the head heavily and made a silent motion. Don't talk nonsense, calm down. If those people know of our existence, the next infiltration will be more difficult. Nohara Rin said reproachfully in a low voice. Obito held the back of his head with a bitter face, and said weakly, Rin, you should find a chance to learn from Master Tsunade. The strength of this fist is almost enough to kill someone with one punch. You mean I'm violent? Nohara Rin said, clenching his fists in both hands. Obito shook his head quickly, using his strong desire to survive. I mean, you are as beautiful as Master Tsunade. Really? Of course. Looking at the two who instantly relieved the oppressive atmosphere, Kakashi took a deep breath and said, Okay, calm down, the next mission is about the next life, so we need a tactical strategy, Rin and you. Kakashi's arrangements and instructions, the hippie smiles on Nohara Rin and Obito's faces gradually faded away, adding a hint of solemnity. The two nodded in agreement. Kakashi's eyes turned in vain and landed on the huge tree trunk, his right hand raised. The three figures disappeared out of thin air. The entrance to the waterfall is not very far from the big tree. As soon as the three of them approached, they heard the voices of people. Through a tree hole that acts as an entrance and exit, you can clearly see what's inside. Shisha, are you crazy? Hurry up and let the clansmen go, or you won't want to open the sealed door. After she used medical treatment, her wounds were bandaged. Obviously no big deal. However, in front of him were more than a dozen ninjas of different genders kneeling on the ground side by side. It's just that I didn't see Uchiha Itachi. This scene made Obito and Rin look at Kakashi at the same time. After all, their goal was to rescue Uchiha Itachi. Not only has Itachi failed to find it now, but he has also encountered such a mutiny-like situation, which is obviously unexpected. Hehe, Patriarch Sheu, I'm not discussing with you now. I heard that your woman is pregnant. Do you think I'll kill too if I go down with this knife? Shisha laughed mischievously. The voice fell, and the water in the right hand was entangled, turning into a water jet in the blink of an eye, without any fancy. He slashed directly at the woman kneeling in front of him. The violent blow shook everyone's nerves. Rin on the side didn't intend to take care of this kind of thing, but if he watched one corpse and two lives, this kind of atrocity would happen. This is definitely not what she wants to see. However, just when Nohara Rin's nerves were tense and he couldn't help making his move, he was stopped by Kakashi's probing hand. Stop, I'm willing to tell you how to unseal the gate, but you have to promise to let the people hear, including that Uchiha kid. Shiyu shouted in a hurry. The three of Kakashi looked at each other in unison. Originally they planned to retreat, but now it seems that they have found a breakthrough. After Kakashi made a gesture to the two of them to act at any time, he looked at the field again. Hehe, the Patriarch, if you promised early, they won't have to suffer like this. The water knife in the hookah's hand stopped an inch from the ninja's neck. However, that Uchiha kid is the key to my plan, but I can't just let it go. It's the old saying, hand over the things, or they will all die this time. Having said that, Shisha looked at Shiyu. Seeing this scene, Shiyu smiled bitterly, the whole person seemed to be drained of energy. Although the other clansmen were shaking their heads, Shiyu staggered to his feet and walked towards the tree wall in front of everyone's eyes. This time, Shiyu didn't hesitate at all, squeezed the surgical seal in his hand, and his hands quickly flew like wheels. With a series of spells falling, the originally ordinary tree wall suddenly lit up with blue light. The next moment, under the eyes of the public, a huge enchantment formation emerged. With the sound of rumbling, the tree wall slowly opened like a gate, revealing a gate with a diameter of 3 or 4 meters. In this tree-hole secret room, there is a tree-core Jinchuriki column with a blue gourd on it. The opening is open, and it receives a drop of crystal liquid from time to time. This is the water of heroes. Looking at this strange scene, the hookah's face showed ecstasy, and he walked in quickly without much thought. Chapter 265 Acting Star Shadow. Go. Kakashi gave a cold drink. In the backhand, 3 smoke bombs were thrown directly into the tree hole. The violent scene made the hookah and others who were originally attracted by the water of heroes startled for a while. When he reacted, the 3 smoke bombs that fell to the ground exploded. A large piece of fog exploded like a frenzy. While rolling away, it directly occupied the entire tree hole. Enemy attack, be careful. Shisha's face changed drastically, and with a roar, he quickly turned around and rushed towards the water of heroes. This is the secret method of pressing the bottom of the box in Taki Ninja Village, a drink that can be dozens of times stronger. Once he can really get this water of heroes, he can be invincible when looking at the entire ninja world. Come with me. Kakashi didn't care, his goal was to save Uchiha Itachi. And Yu is the key to it. However, as soon as Kakashi approached, there were awe-inspiring sounds of breaking through the air, and the whistling sounded. Under this thick smoke, there seemed to be a pair of invisible eyes that locked his position. Be careful, their leader is not a simple existence. Shiyu reminded anxiously. He didn't know the origin of the sudden rescue, but at least it was a change. If they were instantly defeated because of a moment of negligence, this was definitely not what he wanted to see. Whoosh! Sound of breaking the air sounded again, and a figure landed in front of Kakashi first. The gorilla Yuhi rolled his eyes, and his hands quickly flew up, forming a series of spells. Doden, Earth Style Wall. Bang bang bang. A series of shuriken, shot directly into the Earth Style Wall. The cooperation that was played not long ago, at this moment, is being performed again. The bridge section is not afraid of the old, the most important enemy has to bear it. Raiden, Thunder Style Chidori. Kakashi flipped his hands, clasped his hands together suddenly, and the whole person passed through the Earth-style wall under the splash of lightning. Boom! The earth wall cracked and the debris flew down, shaking everyone's nerves. 3 o'clock in the east, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Nohara Rin's voice sounded at the right time. Thunder light wrapped around his hands. Kakashi suddenly looked up and locked on the target. The agile figure, activated by the blessing of lightning, shot out like a sharp arrow. The short sprint of 7 or 8 meters was just a blink of an eye, and when he regained his senses, a hookah confidant directly penetrated his heart. 1. As usual, Kakashi's figure swayed again, and Rin Nohara used his perception ninjutsu to lock tightly, although without the assistance of Sharingan. Kakashi, who has always been proficient in physical art, can still make up for it with his rich experience and combat skills. PFF'd. Thunder light bloomed, and every time Kakashi's mind, Nohara Rin's voice sounded, like a coordinate radar, showing the enemy's position. The second. Hot blood fell on Kakashi's cheeks, without any fancy, the moment his heels spun again. A breath of death quickly enveloped the body. The sudden scene made Kakashi's nerves tense. Although at the beginning, he was mentally prepared and knew that there was no way to obliterate all the enemies. However, at the moment, only 2 people were killed, and they were countered by the enemy, which was too fast. In the opponent's camp, there are strong people. The peacock technique strangulation. Rays of light shot in all directions, showing a closed posture, like a spider hunting. Even the ninja in front of Kakashi was not immune. It was obvious that he planned to obliterate Kakashi with one blow, and even his companions were able to give up. This is a killing game. From the very beginning, Duanfang discovered the existence of Kakashi, just to obliterate him under the circumstances of 100% sure. That's why I decided to sacrifice 2 companions to lure Kakashi into the enemy line, and take this opportunity to open the big net to ultimate. At this moment, directly close the network. Facing this fatal blow, Kakashi had no way to retreat. However, the anxiety that flashed on his face not only did not increase, but instead returned to calm. The thunder light wrapped in his hands suddenly dissipated, and at the same time, the scroll he took out with his backhand burst open. Boom! Kakashi's body directly. Looking at this scene, Kai Shing flashed a hideous smile on his face, and said, "Boy, you can't escape, I have already discovered your existence. Under my peacock technique, you will surely die." The awe-inspiring laughter echoed in the tree hole, the violent attack exploded in response, the rays of light splashed down, and the number of dozens of spears suddenly increased to hundreds. The posture of closing and strangling is even more so. Nohara Rin's expression changed slightly, but he was quickly stopped by Uchiha Obito's detective. "Don't forget, he is also a student of Big Brother Yu. Who said I was going to run away?" Kakashi's voice came out suddenly, and the crackling thunder light splashed out. The next moment, the figure entwined with thunder light shot out like a horse. Konoha Ryu Katakana middle dot 3 Moon Thunder Dance. The thunder light is like a turning wheel, and it is shot out in the air in the attitude of tearing apart the space. Wherever they passed along the way, the rosy spear transformed by the peacock's magic method was torn to shreds like a piece of paper. In an instant, a huge opening was torn out of the encirclement and rushed out. However, as soon as he got out of trouble, this attacking posture like a broken bamboo did not stop at all. The distance of more than 10 meters, but in the blink of an eye, appeared in front of Kai Xing. The twin knives entwined by the thunder light made Kai Xing's pupils shrink suddenly. Before he had time to think about it, he reached down with both hands, and directly pulled the two subordinates to his front. Lord Chixing, the expressions of the two Shinran changed drastically. However, in the face of Kakashi's lightning-fast swordsmanship, the voice just blurted out, and it was too late to defend and dodge. The sharp blade wrapped by the thunder light has already slashed down. PFF'd. Hot blood spurted out, and two huge heads were thrown at the same time. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Kai Xing suddenly folded his hands together. The peacock technique, tiger and leopard strike. Roar. The deafening roar suddenly came out, and the tiger and leopard transformed by the rays of the sun, as soon as they condensed, broke through the two corpses in an instant, and slaughtered Kakashi head-on. The violent scene caused Kakashi's expression to change slightly, and the two knives quickly stood in front of him. Boom! The thunderball and the tiger and leopard collided instantly, and the violent explosive force detonated like a frenzy, and quickly rolled back around. Advantage of this opportunity, Kakashi rolled over and landed on the sides of Obito and Rin. The fog in the tree hole was also blown away, revealing a messy battlefield. There is also a slightly embarrassed red star. Three teenagers. Shiyu saw clearly, and his expression changed slightly at the moment of the situation. He clearly knew how strong Kai Xing from Xingnin village, known as the agent of Xingying, was. Chapter 266 Didn't you just call me? Chixing, are you all right? The voice of the hookah sounded. Shiyu woke up suddenly, and the moment she saw the gourd in the hookah's hand, her face changed drastically. Come on, he got the heroic water, you are no match. The expressions of the three Kakashi changed slightly. They were living in the atmosphere of the Third Ninja War, and they were not comparable to rookies. I have also heard a little about the Water of Heroes in Taki Ninja Village. That is a legendary thing, and it is also the foundation of Taki Ninja Village. Chakra, which can increase dozens of times in an instant, is not a 1+1 opponent. Don't worry, this kind of kid has outstanding strength, but I haven't paid attention to it yet, but I'm a little surprised. The chakra knife in his hand is probably the thunder knife among the 7 great ninja knives in the village of Kurigakure. Kai Xing, the expression is yin vulture, and the mouth is saying that there is nothing. But looking at the 4 corpses that fell on the field, the last 2 died indirectly in his hands. This face is a bit unbearable. Thunder Sword. Shisha raised his brows and said, it is rumored that the 7 people of Kurigakure will challenge Konoha's blood-colored Asura, not the death of death, the surrender of surrender. This Thunder Kiba, who has the Thunder Sword, seems to be in the Battle of the Stronghold. He was killed by Uchiha Chinyu, and the Thunder Sword should have fallen into his hands. Could it be that he is Uchiha Chinyu? Kakashi, who was a bit similar in age and shrouded in black robes, Shisha's brows became even tighter. Whether it is the trophy thunder knife, or the Raiden thunder style ninjutsu he is good at, and the combat power beyond his age. Kakashi in front of him reached them one by one. The only difference was that he couldn't see Yuhi's bloody eyes. Shisha, do you think he is Konoha's Scarlet Asura? Kai Xing was startled for a while, then laughed playfully. Those 5 kingdoms are too exalted. Raiden thunder style ninjutsu is very good, and swordsmanship is also very good, but this alone makes the 5 kingdoms in chaos. It seems that they have already old. It's time for our Hoshinin village and Taki Ninja village to rise. The unbridled voices rolled away. The Kakashi trio turned the Byakugan straight. However, this cannot be blamed for Kai Xing's ignorance. His cage level is just what generations have called themselves. The Kingdom of Bears, in the ninja world, is only a small country, not to mention the Shingnan village in the small country. As for the seclusion of Taki Ninja Village, it also blocked the news of Hookah, and there was a feeling of arrogance. However, this beautiful misunderstanding, Kakashi didn't say anything to pierce it, and when he looked at Akashi and Shisha, he immediately gestured to Uchiha Obito and Nohara Rin. Go! Kakashi shouted violently, and the thunder swords he held in both hands suddenly shot out from the air under the thundering arcs. It turned into a thunderous slash, and rolled away in a rolling posture. Thunder cut. The violent scene made Shisha and Chixing's faces sank, their hands flew down, and the spell seal quickly formed. It can unleash the power of lightning in the form of a slash. Kakashi, who has such a superb Raiden, thunder-style, swordsmanship, is the legendary Uchiha Chinyu. Sweden, water-style, water dragon bullet. The peacock technique dragon shape. Two violent drinks suddenly came out, and the water dragon bullet and peacock's magic technique collided with thunder slash in an instant. Boom! The violent explosion roared, and the huge impact force made this tree hole reinforced with secret techniques unbearable. One after another figure was thrown out directly by the air waves rolled up inside. Rin, let's go quickly, trust Kakashi. Obito grabbed the worried Nohara Rin's shoulders, and quickly pulled away to him. However, their footsteps are just standing firm. Two explosions roared from the tree hole again. A slightly embarrassed figure flew out and smashed heavily on the lake. After using the water surface to walk in time, after rolling for more than 10 meters, he barely managed to stand on his feet. Ka, are you all right? Nohara Rin's expression changed, and he shouted anxiously. Be careful behind you. Kakashi roared in a hurry, instantly making Obito and Nohara Rin tense. Konoha blood-colored Asura, you are paying attention to us now, it is too late, blame it, you are too defiant. The joking voices rolled and spread out, and a figure shrouded in light blue chakra waves suddenly shot out from the broken tree hole. It turned into an afterimage and appeared in front of Rin Nohara. Too soon, Uchiha Obito's face changed dramatically. Sharingan, which is exerted as much as possible, is the action of reading the hookah. However, being able to see is one thing, but whether the body can keep up with this speed is another. Watching the water jets that quickly emerged from the hands of the hookah, entwined frantically, and condensed into water jets. A mortal scene flashed through Obito's mind. PFF'd. Blood spattered, and the water jet pierced Nohara Rin's chest directly. The violent scene shook his nerves. The originally rotating twin Tomo Sharingan transformed in an instant and quickly turned into a pentagram. A huge pupil force, like a frenzy, rolled backwards in Obito's body, and exploded instantly with a roar. Ah, I'm going to kill you. Obito's ears like thunder. Okay, stop yelling here, demonic illusion. Obito just felt a roar in his mind, and when he reacted, the picture in front of him was distorted, and finally shattered like a mirror, revealing Rin Nohara's figure at the same time. There is also an unexpected figure. Sir, didn't you say, give me 3 hours to persuade me to surrender? Shuinen stormed in from a distance. Under his panting posture, his clothes were already soaked through. If it wasn't for the remaining will, reluctantly holding one breath and standing, I am afraid that I would already be tired and lying on the ground. The sudden scene made Shisha and Chixing, and even the whole audience, bewildered. Obito still hasn't reacted in the demonic illusion just now. He also didn't know when he was implanted by Uchiha Chinyu with the seed of demonic illusion. And why cast demonic illusion on yourself? A series of questions made Uchiha Obito's head swell. But the only thing he knew and felt fortunate was that at the critical moment, Uchiha Chinyu shot and stopped the hookah's attack. Nohara Rin was rescued. Shuinen, why did you come back now? Who is he? Shisha's expression froze, and she asked anxiously. In just a moment, he took the hero's water and obtained dozens of times of chakra power. The attack displayed, whether it is speed or power, doesn't even need a hand seal. This result made him very satisfied. However, this fatal blow was stopped by the mysterious man in front of Yuhi's cloak. However, before Shuinen could speak, Chinyu took the lead and said with a warm smile, "Didn't you just call me?" Chapter 270 _ Shisha was stunned. The scene just now evolved too fast. After Shiyu opened the tree-hole secret room to the present. This seemingly cumbersome scene, before and after, is only a short tens of seconds. He has said too much. Brother, you, kneel down quickly and let that Uchiha kid go. Shuinen spoke suddenly, speaking inexplicably, making Shisha startled for a moment. However, the sound of the words that fell after that shook his nerves. He is Konoha missing Nin, Scarlet Ashura, Uchiha Chinyu. To Uchiha Chinyu. Shisha's expression suddenly changed, but this time, even if he thought about it with his toes, he could clearly know. It was a beautiful misunderstanding just now. Do not. Looking at the young man in front of him who clasped his wrist in an understatement. This misunderstanding can only be described as fatal. It's just that the arrow had to be thrown on the string. Shisha looked at the young man with a warm smile on his face, and let out a stern roar. I don't care if you are bloody, white, or golden, my hookah is the strongest in Taki Ninja Village. After taking the heroic water, even if you are a cage level strong in the 5 countries, it is not my opponent. The rolling voice fell, the hookah's right hand was buckled by Chinyu, but the left hand was shrouded in the chakra coat, holding a 10,000 fist-like posture. Henkong slashed Chinyu's neck. The attack, which was as fast as a thunderbolt, ripped apart the air along the way, and made a series of low-pitched air sonic booms. At this close distance, the split fell on Chinyu's neck in the blink of an eye. Facing such a fierce blow, Chinyu seemed to be stunned, maintaining a warm smile. Nohara Rin and others, and the ecstasy of the hookah, they were like two people. Boom. A dull thunder-like collision sounded suddenly. Susanoo's coat that looked like blood. The seemingly fierce water jet shattered at this moment, disintegrated into the void, and disappeared as a mist of water. Looking at Chinyu's body, the huge Susanoo formed by squirming fast. Moment Yuhi's eyes were locked on the hookah, there was a grunt and the feeling of swallowing saliva. At this moment, they finally understood why Konoha missing Nin, Uchiha Chinyu, was called Scarlet Ashura. The monster in front of him alone is enough to explain all this. Okay, I've given you the opportunity to perform. You should be able to tell me why you called me just now. Chinyu said with a warm smile. This gesture, like a boy next door, fell into the eyes of the hookah, and it felt as if death was urging him to die. Susanoo, who was more than 10 meters tall and shrouded Chinyu's body in front of him, his face became anxious. He took out the gourd containing the hero's water with his left hand, and quickly poured it into his mouth under the watchful eyes of everyone. Stop him, the more you take this hero's water, the stronger the power you can increase. Shiyu reminded in a hurry. However, in the face of all this, Chinyu still did not act at all, just watched this scene with great interest. Along with the water in the gourd, more than half of it disappeared. The eyes of the hookah were round at first, and then the veins on his face became prominent at the next moment. The violent chakra exploded instantly like a frenzy. The chakra coat that was originally light blue instantly turned dark blue. The chakra that could not be contained in the body even came out through the body and rose straight into the sky. Power, this is power, did you see it? This is the strongest power in the ninja world. I am the strongest in Taki Ninja Village, and the strongest existence in the ninja world. Shisha felt the huge power in the body. Zhuangruo laughed wildly. With the expansion of confidence, his eyes suddenly turned and fell on Qin Yu's body, saying, "Aren't you afraid? Why didn't you take action?" "Afraid?" Qin Yu smiled and shook his head. "As far as I know, the strongest in Taki ninja village is my subordinate Kakuzu. As for why not, that's because in order to make a person despair, you must first make him crazy." Kakuzu, who was hiding in the darkness, walked out slowly and said, "Boss, is he crazy?" The sudden appearance tightened everyone's nerves, especially the ninjas of Taki Ninja Village. Even more clearly, what the person in front of him means. To be able to make the local resentment Kakuzu respectfully call him the boss. It can be said that if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would want to believe Kakuzu, the local resentment that made their Taki Ninja Village almost wipe out the village. It will be easily tamed and become someone else's subordinate. It's still a little bit. Qin Yu looked at him thoughtfully and said with a light smile. Worse. Shiyu and the others couldn't help but stunned, and even Xingying Kai-sheng, the representative of Xingnin in the distance, was stunned for a while. For the tyrannical chakra that comes out of the hookah, it is definitely 40 or 50 times stronger than his normal state. In the face of such a hookah, even Kai-sheng has no confidence in his heart. However, now Uchiha Qin-yu actually told him that it was a little bit worse. "Red Star, come and help me," Shisha roared. "Oh, are you still coming?" Qin-yu let go of the hookah with interest and looked at Chixingdao. "Don't waste your time, you two go together." Kaizing's expression froze. If just a moment ago, he didn't know who Uchiha Qin-yu was. Now that he has witnessed his terrifying strength with his own eyes, there is no doubt that he has no confidence in his heart. Seeing this scene, Shisha, who had just been able to get out of trouble, changed his face, and shouted anxiously, "Chixing, we are sitting on the same boat now. Don't forget that you are the agent Xingying, and you are the strongest in Xingnan village, and your strength is sufficient. Comparing with the 5 shadows, if we join forces, with the Water of Heroes, it will not be a problem to defeat him." Quote. Kai-sheng was startled. The hookah's words were not unreasonable. What's more, he also wanted to see how powerful his peacock technique, coupled with the Water of Heroes, would be. "Okay, I'm going to use your Konoha Missing Nin, the blood-colored Asura, as a stepping stone on the road to the strongest ninja world." Kai-sheng shouted sharply. "Xingying will win, Lord Chixing is invincible." Lord Chixing, who will compete with Peacock's magic trick. Xing Ren, who was present, was the first to lose his temper. Regardless of Uchiha Qin-yu's strength, they are now grasshoppers on the same hemp rope. Pull one and move the whole body. The only thing that can be done at the moment is to kill Uchiha Qin-yu, so that he has a chance of survival. Okay, Chixing, you will understand that this choice is the most important step for us to dominate the ninja world. Shisha looked happy, raised his head and filled half of the hero's water again, and threw it to Chixing. As Kai-sheng raised his head and drank, the two of them looked at each other and let out an awe-inspiring long whistle. Chapter 271 Still Young and Rich. Roar. Shisha and Chixing roared in the sky. Chakra, dormant in the body, exploded like a frenzy, and went straight to the sky. The violent stance formed ripples in the air, and even the surface of the lake was set off by large waves. Shiyu and the others who witnessed this scene couldn't help but change their expressions. Even Kakashi et al. In the face of the hookah and the red star a moment ago, they may still have the strength to fight. However, the chakra fluctuations exuding now have skyrocketed at least 50 or 60 times. This kind of increased strength, looking at the entire ninja world, is not just one person who can fight against it. Haha, Uchiha Qin-yu, did you see it? This is our strength to dominate the ninja world. Next, you will tremble under absolute strength. Shisha laughed unbridled. Out of the corner of the eye, Kai-Shing and Kai-Shing looked at each other and shouted angrily. Go! As soon as the roar fell, Kai-Xing's hands suddenly flew up, and a series of spells fell. With the help of the Water of Heroes, the star chakra in the body swelled dozens of times in an instant. Under the transmission of this huge combat power, the peacock magic technique that erupted has achieved a qualitative change in seconds. The peacock technique, the roar of the dragon. When the last magic seal fell, his hands suddenly clasped together. The star chakra, which came out of the body, went straight to the sky, and under the body, turned into a 100-meter-long glowing dragon. Accompanied by a deafening roar, he shook his head and swept his tail towards Uchiha Chinyu. Hookah, I'm suppressing him. You use the most powerful Suigen, water-style ninjutsu to suppress him. With one move, Kai-Shing was the first to lose his breath and roared in a hurry. In such a situation, to win completely, the only thing that can be done is to work hard and then decline. So, this move must be decisive. However, when the voice fell, the audience was stunned, and the words that fell in his ears shook his nerves even more. That, you seem to have been sold, and you are still helping him count the money. Chinyu touched the tip of his nose helplessly and said with a smile, however, this attack is indeed worth my reluctance to shoot. The playful words fell, and Kai-Shing hurriedly looked behind him. The target was the hookah, who turned around and ran away frantically. It can be said that in the short fight just now, the strength of the heroic water has been soared by dozens of times, but even Susanoo, who is protecting the body of Uchiha Chinyu, has no way to break it. Therefore, at this moment, Shisha had a plan in mind, dragged Chixing into the water, and bought enough time for himself to escape. As an ally, Shisha clearly knew the power of Peacock's magic, and felt the breath that burst out just now. He firmly believed that Chixing could buy him enough time. Thinking of this, Shisha took the lead and couldn't help but hurriedly glanced behind. However, this look made his pupils shrink suddenly, and when he saw Susanoo, which was instantly transformed into a hill, hundreds of meters high, his heart was suddenly tightened by an invisible big hand. The next moment, a huge hand like a mountain suddenly grabbed it in the void, and Tomo fell into his hand. Looking at the incoming dragon, Susanoo didn't have any fancy, and the 8-foot Chang Tomo in his hand suddenly threw out. PFF'd. The low sound of air tearing suddenly came out, and at the moment when the air ripples, the Xiaoguang giant dragon, which was the first to touch, was torn apart like paper. As the caster, Kai-Shing suffered the brunt of the backlash. Before he could think about it, he clasped his hands together and roared again. Peacock magic, Xiaoguang barrier. The endless star chakra is extracted from the body of the red star. In the blink of an eye, in front of Kai-Shing, an indestructible wall was formed. However, before there was a hint of joy on Kai-Xing's face, the next moment Xiaoguang's walls were like paper paste, and there was another puff. Tomo, like a grinding disc, had been infinitely enlarged in his pupils. Boom! The entire body, under the attack of Tomo, was instantly crushed into flesh. What acting as a star forbearance, what chakra that has exploded dozens of times. This so-called title, under absolute strength, everything seems pale. At time, the huge venue fell into an inexplicable silence. Originally, those Xingren who were still helping Kai-Shing waving the flag and shouting were almost scared to death. The huge 8-footed Joan Tomo remained unabated, pierced through the void, and swept away toward the hookah. The violent scene made the hookah almost split his eyes. I thought Kai-Shing, who was taking the hero's water, could give him a little time to delay. But everything seemed pale. No, I can't. Shisha panicked, feeling the violent chakra in the body with the help of the heroic water. It was originally intended to be a trump card, but unfortunately it has no confidence at all. Now the only idea of hookah is to escape. Lord Shisha, Dongxing's voice suddenly sounded. Uchiha Itachi being escorted over, Shisha immediately brightened. He clearly knew. The cause of all this is all because of greed, catching Uchiha Itachi. The only way to be rescued now is to take this little brat as a hostage. Thinking of this, Shisha was the first to lose his breath, and cast the Shunshu technique to ultimate, and quickly swept towards Uchiha Itachi. The violent scene made Nohara Rin's complexion change drastically, and it was too late to start shouting in a hurry. Big brother you. Don't worry, Itachi is not a simple thing. If he wasn't caught on purpose, I'm afraid that 2 more Hokas would not be able to catch him. Chinyu laughed dryly and looked at Uchiha Itachi, who had a smile on his face. Said, it's better to be young, it's easy to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger. The inexplicable words made the people in the field startled at first. Even the Hoka that just got close to Uchiha Itachi was no exception. However, before they could react, Itachi had already started drinking violently. If you don't do it now, when will you wait? As the confidants of Hoka, the 3 of Dongxing were startled at first. However, he quickly reacted, and under the flying of his hands, a series of spells were formed. Sweetened water style, water whip bondage. The water whip was instantly condensed in the hands of the 3 of them, and the next moment, like a poisonous snake, it quickly wrapped around the hitting Hoka. The violent scene was completely beyond the Hoka's expectations, but in this close proximity, everything seemed pale and powerless, and was instantly tied into a zongzi. What are you doing? Shisha suddenly reacted, roaring and struggling. He never thought that at this juncture, his subordinates would betray him. Chapter 272 Thousands of people worship. Lord Shisha, it was you who taught me to choose a good bird to live in. Now the overall situation has been decided, but I can't blame us for not persuading you that day. Dong Xing's expression was as usual, without the slightest guilt. You. The Hoka gasped all of a sudden. However, a ghostly figure appeared in front of him in an instant. The figure is very thin, but the gorilla Yuhi's ink-like eyes and the chakra short knife that glows with cold light cut directly at the throat of the Hoka at a tricky angle. PFF'd. Orangutan Yuhi splashed out, and the Hoka's eyes were full of disbelief. Uchiha Itachi turned around and kicked the sky, and the Hoka shot into the sky like a cannonball. When the vitality was dissipated, the huge shuriken that came into view occupied the memory picture of Shisha dying. PFF'd. A tyrannical force, with a rolling posture. The Hoka that shot up into the sky was instantly crushed into blood foam and scattered between the heaven and the earth. Bakujang Tomo, who was still unabated, he quickly passed over the huge waterfall and mountain that Taki Ninja Village was relying on. It was accompanied by a deafening explosion. The kilometer-long mountain peak was directly cut off by the waste, accompanied by a deafening roar. 8 feet of Joan Tomo instantly crashed into the barren mountains in the distance. As if the 9 heavens' divine thunder fell, it shattered a large area of the mountain, and the sand and dust billowed into the sky. Originally, Taki Ninja Village was able to close the country, but it was entirely because of the existence of this natural danger that it was isolated from all contact with the outside world. It is a pity that the mountain peak has been cut down, and the earth in the distance has been penetrated by a big hole. This violent scene just stirred everyone's nerves, and while the field fell into a dead silence, only the sound of gurgling saliva remained. The eyes that looked at Chinyu at the same time showed a hint of panic. The power of a single blow is so terrifying. In the real fight, who can resist a few tricks? Thinking of the Hoka and Chixing, the inexplicable confidence just now was simply disgusting that the grass on his grave was too long. Lord Hamura, what are we going to do? Dongxing couldn't help but move his steps, which obviously meant that he was choosing a camp. What else can I do? Of course, I kneel down and surrender. Do you still want Taki Ninja Village to be washed with blood? Shiyu couldn't care about the weak feeling in his body, and stared angrily. As soon as the voice fell, Shiyu was the first to kneel on the ground with a thud. Dongxing, who was standing beside him, and all the ninjas from Taki Ninja Village who were present followed him and knelt down. Even those Xingren who had just recovered from the shock were no exception. My lord, our Taki Ninja Village is willing to surrender and beg for the grace of not killing. Kneeling and begging for the grace of not killing. As soon as it came out, hundreds of thousands of people shouted in unison, and finally the sound wave rolled and dispersed. At this moment, the short 6 words seemed to be infused with magic sound and could not be dissipated. Moreover, there are people who came from all directions and joined the ranks. Colored Susano like a demon. The psychology of conformity was obviously aroused. Even his own village chief is worshipping, not to mention, they are ordinary people. Kakashi and others were dumbfounded by the scene of thousands of people worshipping together. Kakuzu, who was originally indifferent and who had slaughtered and bloodshed Taki Ninja Village in the past, said coldly, "Boss, now I see that you are more like an evil god than that guy Hidan. If that guy is there, I'm afraid I'll be very envious. You have so many people bowing down." Kakuzu, I didn't expect you to be joking, but it's not funny at all. Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly. He is not the virgin, but he does not like to kill innocent people. Although, for Nanao, sooner or later, he will come to Taki Ninja Village. But what happened to Uchiha Itachi made him come back early. However, beheading Shisha and Chixing also acted as a deterrent. Now it may be possible to take Nanao over without any effort. Okay, get up. Chinyu retracted his wandering thoughts, looked at Shiyu and said, "This time, the rebellion between Shisha and Chixing was considered a mistake by me, and I solved it for you, Taki Ninja Village. However, Chief Hamura, you should also see the Yuhi-colored auspicious cloud cloak on me. We Akatsuki do errands, but there is a fee." Having said that, Chinyu looked at Shiyu. In Kumogakure village, Chinyu had already poured a wave of dirty water on Akatsuki. Now, but also don't mind, give it another splash. The handling fee. Shiyu was stunned at first, but his face soon became a little anxious, and said, "Uchiha Chinyu, our Taki Ninja Village is also a small country and a small village. I am afraid we can't pay the handling fee you said." HMPH, if you can't afford it, then pay it back with the head on your neck. As the mayor of Taki Ninja Village, you're still worth 30 million taels. Kakuzu took the lead in speaking out of surprise. In addition to being unsmiling, the most sensitive thing for Kakuzu is that I do things and you have no money. This is more painful than death. No, my lord, just say a number, we will try our best to raise it. Shiyu couldn't help shivering. With Uchiha Chinyu, for their Taki Ninja Village, Kakuzu is more fierce. After all, this is the master of Taki Ninja Village who almost bloodshed himself. In case it goes berserk now, Taki Ninja Village can't stand the second toss. Hehe, Mr. Shihamura, you are really serious. Since you have the heart, let's have a good deal. Chinyu laughed dryly. However, when everyone heard the 4 words of this happy transaction, the muscles in their cheeks twitched. This good guy is playing too fast too. Use Kakuzu to get off the horse, and then be a good guy himself. It's just one-handed shit, one-handed candy, stuffed so convincingly. Sir, please tell me. Shiyu didn't dare to think about it anymore. After wiping the sweat from his forehead, he stood there respectfully, showing an attitude of listening attentively. As for those Taki shinobi and the villagers who were kneeling on the ground begging for mercy, they didn't dare to take a breath. Just staring at Chinyu eagerly. Okay, don't be too nervous, I'm not a bad person. Feeling the change in the atmosphere in the field, Chinyu reluctantly wiped the tip of his nose and said, "This time, I came to Taki Ninja Village, in addition to saving people. Your Taki Ninja Village is a small village and a small country, but there is one thing that is very valuable. Take out the tailed beasts. It is good for your village to recuperate, but the uninterrupted tailed beast riots make you tired of suppressing, and the elite power in the village is constantly being consumed as a result. Tailed beast, it's a good weapon if you use it well, but if you don't use it well, it's a sharp double-edged sword. If you're a little careless, it may make your tacky ninja village go back again. Give it to me, and you will know clearly. It was the right choice. Quote. Chapter 273 Are you Uchiha Madara? Hand over the tailed beast. The expression of Taki Shinobu who was present suddenly changed. Their Taki ninja village, when it was in its prime, was only slightly inferior to the 5 great ninja villages. Being able to participate in the division of tailed beasts is enough to prove his strength and status in the ninja world. However, after the bloodbath of Kakuzu, the strength of Taki ninja village has not been as good as before. With the 5 great ninja villages, except for the heroic water, is the only tailed beast weapon Manjinchuriki column. However, now that the water of the hero has been drank by the Hookah and the Red Star, only the tailed beast is left, which can act as the human Jinchuriki column force, as the last trump card of Taki ninja village. I'm willing to hand it over, Shiyu said suddenly. As soon as these words fell, Taki Shinobu in the field immediately caused a commotion. Said Hamura, the tailed beast is our last village. If we hand it over, the strength of our Taki ninja village will be greatly reduced. Said Hamura, please think twice, if it's just money, we can all get together. The scene suddenly became gossip. The face of the birth without the existence of cage level, the cultivation of the power of the tailed beast Jinchuiki column has obviously become a shortcut on the road of chasing the strong. Okay, Shiyu raised his hand to stop, looked at Chinyu and said, Uchiha Chinyu, I want to confirm one thing. Although our Taki ninja village is closed to the country, it is rumored that you intend to collect the 9-tailed beasts, and you have also captured the Kumogakure village, so I want to ask, if our Taki ninja village handed over the 7 tails, the other tailed beasts in the ninja village, are they? It won't be collected by you two. Faced with this question, Taki Shinobu, who was unwilling to speak just now, changed his expression and shut up. They clearly knew that these words were what Shiyu told them. Kumogakure village, which is said to be the most powerful of the 5 ninja villages, was also captured by Uchiha Chinyu. Not to mention, their Taki ninja village. Hehe, it seems that the information about Mr. Hamura is not comparable to the Hookah. Chinyu laughed dryly and said, however, what is my purpose? I don't even know it myself. It may be random, or it may be destined, but when I am in the mood, I will collect the 9-tailed beasts. After all, I am too kind, but I can't stand their suffering. Too kind. The people present couldn't help but look at him, and when they recalled the scene where Shisha and Kai Shing were killed, they still had lingering fears. If killing people without blinking an eye is considered good, then there will be no evil people in this world. Shiyu let out a deep breath, his eyes flickered, and he looked at Uchiha Itachi and said, I think, as the Lord said, you were deliberately caught by the Hookah, and even Dongxing obeyed your orders. The vessel that wanted to seal the 7 tails should have fallen into your hands. When the 3 of Dongxing heard the words, a trace of embarrassment appeared on their faces. As Shiyu said, after the Hookah asked them to escort Uchiha Itachi away, they really couldn't stand the coercion and temptation. At the same time, after personally suffering at the hands of Uchiha Itachi, he finally chose to believe Uchiha Itachi's bewitching words. After hearing the sound of the explosion of the tree hole, I was even more convinced of all this. After hurriedly taking Uchiha Itachi to grab the vessel sealed by the 7 tails, I came here and saw that Kai Shing was crushed. Hookah escape scene. Brother, I brought what you asked for. A rare smile appeared on Uchiha Itachi's face. In front of everyone's eyes, several ups and downs landed on Chinyu's side, and he took out an ancient gourd with his backhand. This gourd has a simple shape, surrounded by dense mysterious patterns. The shape is somewhat similar to the gourd that holds the water of heroes. But more than that is fancy. The moment the gourd started, Chin-yu frowned, and a low roar came out from it. Boom! The violent chakra exploded like a frenzy. The mysterious incantation seal on the surface of the gourd, at the moment when all kinds of rays of light bloomed, a crisp cracking sound appeared under the eyes of the public. Cracks like cobwebs spread quickly on the surface of the gourd. The mysterious spell seal that was lit up quickly dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The violent scene shook Shiyu's nerves, and before he had time to think about it, he shouted in a hurry, "Sir, this is the harbinger of Chongming breaking the seal. The power of this shock is stronger than before, you hurry up and hand it over to him. Give us, strengthen the seal again." HMPH, the melee in Taki Ninja Village, you still plan to seal me? The rolling voice came out from the gourd, with a roaring and harsh voice. Don't think, I was sealed in the gourd, I don't know that you just experienced a battle outside. I miss you, Taki Ninja Village, even if you can suppress the rebellion successfully, your vitality will be severely damaged. I have rioted during this period of time, and everything is to wait for this opportunity. No one can stop me today. Boom! The dull collision sound suddenly came out from the gourd, and the sound was even more louder than before. Most importantly, most of the mysterious spell seals that had been shattered in the first place were shattered again under this wave of shock. Cracks like cobwebs quickly spread over the entire surface of the gourd. Haha, there is no way you can suppress me this time. It only takes a few minutes before I will be leveled, you Taki Ninja Village. Nanao Shigeki roared unscrupulously. However, just as the voice fell, and at the moment when he was about to strike again, the gourd stopper, which was the key to the seal, was directly ripped open with a pop. Okay, don't yell at me, what if I let you out? Chin-yu shook his hands, and Nanwei Shigame, who was in a daze in the gourd. Then it immediately woke up. After losing the key to seal the bottle stopper, Shigeki Nanao was stunned at first, and rushed out without thinking much. In its eyes, as a tailed beast, although it is not the strongest among the 9-tailed beasts. But for a debilitated being, it's just a matter of hand. However, when Nanao Shigeki sprang out of the gourd, he just recovered his figure. Those huge compound eyes, the huge silhouette of Susanoo was reflected, but his pupils contracted suddenly. As the 9 big-tailed beasts, among them, only 2 people can play them with applause. The first one is the original Hokage, Senju Hashirama, who has a wooden hand in his hand and will be in a daze when he touches his head. The second is the Uchiha legend, Uchiha Madara, who pretends to be cool, Sharingan stares, and becomes obsessed. And when Uchiha Madara abused them that day, he obviously used a trick similar to the one in front of him. This gigantic Susanoo, on top of its size, still pressed its head. And the 3-headed 6-armed posture is very similar to that of Uchiha Madara that day. Thinking of this, Nanao Shigeki couldn't help but look at Chin-yu and said anxiously, "Are you Uchiha Madara?" Chapter 274 I will give you an advance call. Uchiha Madara. Small voices echoed in this world. Many people will not be unfamiliar with the 2 legends of the ninja world, the god of ninjas, and the legend of the Uchiha family. Now being mentioned again by Shigeki Nanao, many people couldn't help but look at Uchiha Chin-yu more. After all, this is the legend of the Uchiha clan, and it is inevitable to tug at the heartstrings of the descendants of Uchiha Chin-yu. Did you mean Madara? I just beheaded him not long ago. Chin-yu touched the tip of his nose helplessly and said, I don't look like that short-lived bastard, right? What? Nanao Shigeki's pupils shrank suddenly. Do not. It should be said that everyone in the field was stunned. The legend of the Uchiha family is the benchmark of the ninja world, and it is the honor of the Uchiha family. Falling into Chin-yu's mouth, opening and closing his mouth is slashing. This gap is a bit too big. However, After thinking about it, no matter what Chinyu said is true or false, the means displayed in front of him will not be too conceited with Uchiha Madara, right? Okay, what a boy with sharp eyes and sharp mouth, I don't care if you kill Uchiha Madara or not. Today, since I unseal the seal, you all have to die. Changming roared angrily, and his piercing chirping sounded like a sound wave. The huge impact, the air waves that set off, directly overturned Taki Shinobi, who was a little weaker than the surrounding. Is this the power of the tailed beast? Kakashi looked up at the behemoth in front of him. If it wasn't for Susanoo, which was cast by Uchiha Chinyu, he would have resisted most of the power. I am afraid that waiting for them is also a miserable end. Is this the power of the tail beast? Nohara Rin couldn't help saying. She has half of Sage Body's blood in her body, so she has a certain degree of resonance with tailed beasts. That's why he was targeted by Kurigakure village and easily sealed the three tails into his body. This kind of success rate can only be achieved by those with Sage Body blood. No, it's just its fur ability. The tailed beast can be used as an important weapon for a village. It's not that simple, but in this place, once a battle is launched, I'm afraid it will destroy the village. Chinyu smiled playfully, to Nanao Shigame. This time, the three-tailed beasts rarely said anything, and their intention was obviously to hold and let Chinyu torture him first and then be a good guy. It made Chinyu a little suspicious that among the 9 big-tailed beasts, Chiwei Changming's relationship and communication were too bad to be pitted like this. However, compared to Nanao, who was kept in the dark, Shibuya, who was Taki Ninja Village, was all crying. All the riots of the tailed beasts were in the seal place of the Great Lake outside the village. This at least minimizes damage to the village. Now, because of Uchiha Itachi, Nanao Shigeki has appeared in the village. Once they fight, the aftermath of the battle will probably destroy 1/10 of the village. There is still a great god Uchiha Chinyu at the moment. After a fight, this ninja village will probably be wiped off the map. Thinking of this, Shiyu reluctantly stopped his body, knelt on the ground with a thud, and said, "Sir, aren't you going to take Nanao? I beg you to minimize the battle damage as much as possible. We, Taki Ninja Village, will definitely thank you very much, sir." "My lord, we beg you." "My lord, I have old people and young people. I hope you can be careful." The scene suddenly returned to the situation where thousands of people worshipped together. If you let outsiders know that Taki Ninja Village, which is second only to the 5 great ninja villages, actually knelt down and let people take the tailed beast away, this will definitely shock many people's jaws. Brother. Uchiha Itachi's face also turned slightly blue. As a virgin, he never thought that for one performance, it would bring such disaster to Taki Ninja Village. Facing Nanao, who was clearly planning to run wild, Uchiha Itachi knew that only Chinyu could do it when he looked around the audience. Haha, don't worry, eating people has a short mouth and taking people softly. Since these 7 tails are all mine, I won't let them be naughty. Chinyu patted Uchiha Itachi on the shoulder with a smile, and looked at him. Obito, who was still confused, said, "Didn't you say that I gave you something just now?" "It's just to get some interest now. I just opened a plugin for you in advance, and seal the Kamui that your Mangekyo Sharingan has, a trace of power in my Mangekyo." Mangekyo. Uchiha Obito was startled at first, then quickly took off his forehead to act as a mirror. "Obito, your eyes have changed, it's a man-star Sharingan." Nohara Rin couldn't help saying. Kakashi was also taken aback, and there was also a hint of envy on his face. Although Obito's eyes were not the same as Chinyu's, he knew very well what Chinyu meant by so-called opening. If it is said that the Uchiha family is the leader among the ninjas of the same level as long as the Sharingan is turned on, then open the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan, then life is like hanging. Kakashi, who is known as a genius by the outside world, does not have enough confidence to overwhelm Uchiha Obito. Do I have my own pupil technique too? Uchiha Obito couldn't help but touched his eyes and said anxiously, can I be as powerful as brother you? Looking at Uchiha Obito, who was obviously overexcited, Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly and said, okay, don't dawdle me, I'll hypnotize you first and let you do as I instruct. It is a guess of Chinyu to seize the pupil skills of others. In the forbidden area of the Uchiha family, he obtained the augmented eye of Uchiha Madara through the Stone of Inheritance. For others, fit and right alone is already hard, let alone Grandmaster, and grab. But Chinyu has a one-key full-level system. As long as there is a chance, he will have the opportunity to completely master Kamui. Moreover, with the help of Kamui, Chinyu may, by extension, learn his own time-space ninjutsu. At that time, the technique of Hiraishin was just tasteless to Chinyu. What am I going to do? Uchiha Obito recovered a little. However, as soon as he met his gaze, Obito's spirit shuddered violently and fell directly into a state of absent hypnosis. That feeling is there at all, and when I look at the person and confirm that it is the right person, I am directly confused. Kamui. Chinyu gave a cold drink, and the 9-tomo Mangekyo Sharingan turned frantically. Uchiha Obito's Shining Star Sharingan, like a wind demon shuriken, also turned quickly. A huge pupil power surged out of his pupils and went straight to the sky. Like a raging dragon, the next moment under the watchful eyes of everyone, he went straight to Uchiha and Chinyu violently swept away. Boom! The powerful pupil power drilled directly into Chinyu's 9-tomo Sharingan, forming a huge sealing technique. Let the surface of the original 9-tomo Sharingan have a Mangekyo style similar to the Wind Demon Shuriken. As long as Chinyu's thoughts move, the seal of the pupil technique will be unlocked, and then he will display Kamui, Uchiha Obito's unique time and space ninjutsu. Chapter 275: The Successful Capture of Kamui. Obito, are you alright? Nohara Rin couldn't help but ask when the Mangekyo Sharingan in Uchiha Obito's eyes disappeared. What happened to me? What happened to me? Where did my Mangekyo Sharingan go? Uchiha Obito suddenly came back to his senses, looking at the eyes reflected in the forehead guard, obviously a little urgent. Mangekyo Sharingan, known as the Super Wall Hanging. Whether you can kick Kakashi in the future, pedal teacher Konoha Yellow Flash Namikaze Minato. It's all about his dreams. Don't worry, it's just that the pupil strength was too much and disappeared temporarily. Chinyu patted Obito on the shoulder helplessly. After all, this means of seizing is a bit unreasonable. In other words, it is a robbery and domination. If Chinyu's cheeks weren't a little thicker than ordinary people, he wouldn't be able to do it as a bitch. Really, Obito obviously hadn't replied in delight. For him, too much consumption is better than hallucinations. Yes, Chinyu replied helplessly again. Next, in return for capturing Kamui, let you see how I fight. You bastards, there's a lot of nonsense going on and on. Could it be that you really don't take me seriously? Give me death, Nanao roared. The scene just now seemed very complicated, but it was only about half a minute between before and after. However, this was a shame for Nanao, who had just escaped from the ban. The 6 wings on the back suddenly shook, setting off a huge hurricane, and under the bluff of the blood basin, the acid liquid with white smoke shot out like a machine gun. Susanoo in the blink of an eye, landed on the armor, and when it made a sizzling sound, there was also a large white smoke. Along with that madly falling offensive, Chinyu took a step forward under the watchful eyes of the public. Susanoo of several hundred meters also shrank rapidly under the attack, leaving only a dozen meters left to protect Uchiha Itachi and others. This strange scene shocked everyone, but Nanao Shigeki showed a hint of joy. They just couldn't understand why Uchiha Chinyu gave up Susanoo, who has the advantage of size and absolute defense. With his bare hands, he confronted Shigeki Nanao. Could it be that the so-called captured Kamui really has the ability to suppress the tailed beast? However, compared to other people's doubts, Uchiha Obito couldn't help clenching his fists, showing a hint of urgency. Haha, Uchiha little devil, you have been hiding in the turtle shell. I may have to work hard, but now you are so kind, and you are still thinking about saving people in front of me, then you go to death. Nanao Shigeki laughed unrestrainedly. At the same time as the huge feathered wings were bluffing, a series of acid liquids were spit out from the mouth of the blood basin again, like a machine gun. Just a few hundred meters, under the ultimate move of the tail beast, it was obviously pale and powerless, and appeared in front of Chinyu in the blink of an eye. The violent scene tightened everyone's nerves, and even the melon-tailed beast, who had already transferred and hid aside, also showed a look of fascination. Compared with the confusion of others, they firmly believed that Uchiha Chinyu could definitely beat Nanao. The only thing they have to do is to guess how long Nanwei can last in Chinyu's hands. However, looking at the acid that came violently, the three-tailed beasts couldn't help holding their breaths, staring straight at Uchiha Chinyu, wanting to see the thunderous suppression methods. However, this idea had just emerged, and the next moment they were stunned. Do not. It should be said that everyone in the field was stunned, including Nanao Shigeki, who was flying in the air. Watching the acid like a machine gun shoot down on Uchiha Chinyu's body, like ripples on the surface of a lake, it pierced through his body directly. All ended up in the lake. This inexplicable scene made people's pupils shrink suddenly, revealing an expression of disbelief. Is this demonic illusion? Or an illusion? Shiyu was the first to lose his breath. However, before anyone could react, Nanao Shigeki was temporarily absent-minded in the sky, and a sharp roar was emitted from the sky. The next moment, the 6 wings on the back suddenly shook, like a cannonball, swooping down from the sky. The huge sharp horn ripped apart the air along the way, causing a series of ripples, like a sharp sword falling from the sky, stabbing Uchiha Chinyu straight away. Kamui. Facing this fierce and unparalleled attack, Uchiha Chinyu smiled genially. 9-tomo Sharingan turned in vain and turned into Mangekyo. Facing the huge swooping attack, Chinyu seemed to have no idea and let it go straight through his body. With a deafening roar, Nanao Shigeki plunged into the lake like a sharp arrow. A huge wave was set off and rolled back around. Doden Earth Style Wall. Just under the escort of Susanoo, Kakashi, who left the battlefield and arrived on the shore, took the lead. Without Sharingan's mana consumption, Kakashi, who was half-baked in the original work, displayed Earth-style wall with great momentum. A shot. The earth wall of dozens of meters quickly stretched away, completely blocking the way for the lake to hit the village. The highlight moment of this large-scale operation has only appeared when Bo Ren Chuan was dealing with the psychic beast. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about you when I was thinking about practicing the handle. Chinyu glanced back, and the people in Taki Ninja Village, who were full of resentment, touched the tip of their nose helplessly. Facing this feeling of entering the body, Chinyu felt a little awkward, but I have to say that Uchiha Obito, as one of the big bosses in the original book, has a very powerful Mangekyo pupil technique. Among them, his right eye can make himself blurred, transfer everything, and enter his own unique pupil space, but this trick requires contact between himself and the target, and a connection can be established. Then, by choosing spatial coordinates, it materializes itself. As for the left eye given to Kakashi in the original book, it has the ability to tear through space. As long as the eye can see, it can absorb enemy attacks from the air and tear apart all selected objects. It can also give 8-foot Jontomo, the role of Kamui's space tearing. It is a sharp means of attacking and defending, escaping invincible, and fighting unexpectedly. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host who has learned Kamui, the pupil technique, whether you can reach the full level immediately with one click. Ding dang, congratulations to the host for learning time and space ninjutsu, whether you can immediately reach the full level of time and space perception with one key. The ethereal voice of the system resounded in Uchiha Chinyu's mind. This long-awaited moment also proved that the idea of capturing Kamui was feasible. Then, the next step is to take this as an opportunity to derive his own pupil technique. Chapter 276 Who said who was unfortunate? Give me one key to level up. Chinyu thought, and the ethereal voice of the system sounded again in his mind. Ding dong, please wait a moment, host. Ding dong, congratulations to the host Kamui, who has reached the full level in one click. Ding dang, congratulations to the host, the time and space perception is full with one key. The ethereal voice of the system dissipated, a warm current filled Uchiha Chinyu's mind, adding more ways to use Kamui. When he opened his eyes, a huge sound of breaking water suddenly echoed. Boom! Nanao Shigeki broke through the water directly, and missed again with a single blow. The force was too strong, and the seemingly indestructible sharp corners were obviously still hung with silt and water plants. This all-out blow is obviously not easy to hit the wall. Looking at Chinyu, who was still unscathed, suspended in midair, Chiwei raised his head to the sky and screamed, with an indescribable anger. Roar! The sound waves are rolling, the blood basin is bluffing, and the power of the violent tail beast, like a frenzy, frantically pours into the mouth. In just a few short breaths, the violent chakra of the man's words turned into a pitch-black energy ball under the frantic compression. It's Tailed Beast Bomb. Seeing this scene, Shiyu's face instantly turned ashen. However, in the next moment, Nanao Shigeki's behavior made him even want to die. You bastard Uchiha kid, Uchiha Madara is very cunning, but it can't compare to you. Nanao Shigeki roared again and again. The successive defeats have obviously made it extremely impatient. Otherwise, it won't be so fast, and the tailed beast bomb at the bottom of the press box will be cast. The huge compound eye turned in vain, locked in the direction of Shiyu and the others, and then roared again. You like to hide so much, I want to see if you will break your promise in the face of this blow. Boom! Soon as the voice fell, Tailed Beast Bomb burst out in an instant, the tyrannical force was vented, and the air along the way seemed to be directly penetrated. Along with the ripples in the air, it spread across a kilometer in the blink of an eye, and went straight to the Earth-style wall displayed by Kakashi. Everyone, hurry up and use Earth-style wall. Shiyu didn't have time to think. For him, this incident is a fight between gods and mortals. Facing the attack of the tailed beast, Chinyu was able to neutralize it, but that didn't mean they could turn a blind eye. The roaring hurricane hit his face, and the hundreds of tacky ninjas led by Shiyu, their hands and legs that were flying quickly, were shaking. In the face of such violent and huge chakra fluctuations, for them who are not good at Doden Earth style, that so-called defense is nothing but a drop in the bucket. Here, Kakashi gave Chinyu another look. Kakashi couldn't help but let out a hurried "you" to his indifferent attitude. When the hands clasped together suddenly, the tailed beast bomb, which was quickly rolled from the void, appeared in a Uzumaki-like distortion at the space node where it was located. Tailed beast bomb, which was roaring, disappeared out of thin air. The sudden scene caused many people to rub their eyes. If it weren't for the air, there would still be chakra fluctuations. I'm afraid no one wants to believe that in the face of such a powerful tailed beast bomb attack, it will disappear out of thin air. PFF'd. A trace of spatial fluctuation appeared in the sky that Chinyu could see. The next moment, the transferred tailed beast bomb appeared out of thin air again. With the sound of a thunderous explosion, a huge wave of air impacted, setting off a big wave and rolling around. Even Shiyu and the others, who were on the ground thousands of meters apart, could clearly feel the power of the impact of this air wave. If the blow just now really landed in Taki Ninja Village, they would be completely vulnerable with their fur-like Earth-style wall alone. This method is somewhat similar to Mr. Monato's space-time barrier, which can transfer things to the selected spatial coordinates, but the space node he selected for transfer is probably within his sight. If he doesn't take care of the safety of the tailed beast bomb, I think he can return to Nanao Shigeki unexpectedly. Kakashi was the first to speak. He is indeed a genius. It can be said that his genius is not only reflected in his strength, but also in that it is not inferior to the brain talent of the Nara family. You can see the clues just by looking at it once, and if you place it in any ninja village, you can become a generation of military advisors. Kakashi, you mean, if this is my pupil technique, can I do it too? Uchiha Obito grabbed Kakashi's shoulder and couldn't help laughing and said, Kakashi, do you see, it's not the tail of the crane anymore. I will torture you well in the future, and let you know that the 5th generation of Hokage will be me, not you. I have a Hokage dream too. Bug in the original book, except for Uzumaki Naruto's open pig's feet. Whether it is as strong as Uchiha Madara, was abused to the point of almost death. Naoki and Duan died on the battlefield. Even the big boss Uchiha Obito is no exception. As for Uchiha Sasuke, I heard that I once had such a dream. Namikaze Minato, who will say goodbye to the 4th generation Hokage I and see you next time as the queen, is a short-lived species, and in Hokage's position, he doesn't even have an ass. Sitting hot and burping. As for following in his footsteps, there is another Danzo, who has been staring at him for decades, and has even worse luck. He stopped working after a few days. It's a cursed position, so to speak, unfortunate. Only those who are unintentional can do it. Obito, I advise you not to be too happy. Kakashi rolled his eyes and said, don't forget, not everyone is Uchiha Chinyu. His talent is unfathomable, even I can't figure out the depth. The same pupil technique can be used 100% in his hands, but in your hands, whether it can be used 80% or 50% is unknown. Quote. Also, this pupil technique can deflect such powerful attacks as Tailed Beast Bomb, but it also consumes a lot of chakra and pupil power. With your small body, it is another matter whether you can do it or not. Give it to me now. When you say you want to be Hokage, be careful with your tongue-in-cheek words. Quote. Uchiha Obito suddenly became angry, and it felt as if someone had poured cold water on his head. However, there was no way to refute it. After all, as Kakashi said, not everyone is Uchiha Chinyu. Not refute Kakashi's words. He just used the pupil power of Kamui's left and right eyes to superimpose. The long-distance space absorption and transfer that was displayed was placed in the original work, and Uchiha Obito with only one eye could not do it. But at the same time, the consumption of chakra, pupil strength, and physical strength is also doubled, and there is also a 5-second time cooling. However, after this attempt, Chinyu also came up with a clue for his unique pupil technique. Chapter 277-Unique New Pupil Technique. Impossible! Nanao Chungming screamed, and the huge compound eyes suddenly turned and locked on Uchiha Chinyu's body. If the physical attack is just a test, then the tail beast pill is its killer at the bottom of the box. However, even this move was easily resolved, and the strength of the young man in front of him was still underestimated by it. The huge compound eyes flickered, and in the next moment, under the bluff of Nanwei Chungming's blood basin, endless scales and powder rushed out like a frenzy. Accompanied by the vibration of the huge feather wings, the rolled-up hurricane and the pale yellow scale powder quickly rolled back around, occupying the entire world in a blink of an eye, completely hiding Nanao Shigeki's figure. Everyone, be careful, this is Nanao Shigeki's secret technique, the technique of hiding scales and powder. As the village chief of Taki Ninja Village, Shiyu, of course, knew exactly what Shigeki Nanao had. He quickly covered his mouth and nose and shouted in a hurry. Once the scale powder enters the body, it will produce a poisonous sign of paralysis. The violent scene instantly tensed everyone's nerves. However, facing the tactics Nanao Shigeki chose, even Kakashi was shocked. After the short fight just now, he also saw that the Kamui cast by Uchiha Chinyu was able to blur himself and at the same time attack from a long distance. This method looks very defiant, but behind every ninjutsu, there is a weakness. For example, Kamui, the biggest weakness is to face saturation attacks. In the original work, Conan's Century Prodigal Battle, the technique of 600 billion detonating runes, is also to achieve this effect. And the poison scale powder cast by Shigeki Nanao also has the same effect. Now, Kakashi and the others wanted to see how Chinyu would deal with the tailed beast hiding. Rin, have you felt Nanao's chakra fluctuations? Uchiha Obito couldn't hold back his breath. After all, this is the pupil technique he possesses. Although it is Uchiha Chinyu who is fighting, his blood will inevitably boil while watching. Now Nanwei casts poison scale powder to restrain Kamui, which also makes him unhappy. There is no way, there is chakra left in this scale powder, and even my perceptual ninjutsu cannot find Nanao's figure. Nohara Rin shook his head solemnly. However, the moment he turned his eyes and landed on Chinyu, his expression suddenly changed. Chinyu's appearance has changed, that seems to be the Sage Mode owned by Mr. Minato. Sage Mode. Uchiha Obito and Kakashi were also startled. As Namikaze Minato's students, of course, they clearly know what means their teachers have. Among them, Sage Mode is even more known as a more difficult existence than S-level forbidden technique. Even Namikaze Minato spent a lot of time collecting the power of nature when he first learned. However, now Uchiha Chinyu stepped into Sage Mode with a slap of both hands. The gap between the front and the back was a bit too big. Want to escape? Chinyu smiled playfully. In Sage Mode, these scale powders affect the perception of the ninja, but they cannot completely cover Sage Mode and are sensitive to subtle changes in natural forces. His eyes turned in vain, and he locked on the mountain rock wall thousands of meters away. Perhaps, Nanao Shigeki was worried that flying randomly would cause the scale powder to blow away, so he was found. So I chose the most conservative escape method. However, at the moment when Chinyu's eyes fell, Nanao Shigeki clearly felt something, and he let out an unbelievable long whistle. At this moment, it was obviously planning to give up hiding. God, what did I see? The tailed beast took the initiative to escape. What the hell, you go up and try it. If you run into an opponent that you can't even attack, don't you just wait to die if you don't escape. However, that Konoha blood-colored Asura, why didn't he chase? His eyes seemed to have changed. The scene suddenly became chaotic. The scale powder that originally filled the whole world, was also swept away at the moment Nanao Chungming fluttered his wings. For a time, everyone's eyes were locked on Chinyu's body. I saw that Chinyu not only did not pursue, but slowly closed his eyes, and many thoughts flashed in his mind. Of Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, Kamui and other pupil techniques is completely beyond words. Uchiha Chinyu's mind like a frenzy. Boom. In the depths of his mind, there was a roar, and Chinyu suddenly opened his eyes. The right hand suddenly caught it in the air, and Yuhi's blood like 9 Tomo Mangekyo Sharingan turned frantically. Everyone in this space only felt a slight pause in the speed of the air circulation. The next moment, before they could react, Nanao Shigeki, who fled quickly in the distance, was startled. As if being clenched tightly by an invisible big hand, those wildly vibrating wings gave people a feeling of being in a quagmire and struggling to move. The most unbelievable thing is that the heaven and earth where Shigeki Nanao is located, whether it is a tree or a rocky mountain, even the earth and lake water under him, seems to be crazily backed up by invisible forces, and it suddenly collapses. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. Looking at Shigeki Nanao, who seemed to be frozen in the void, struggling frantically and screaming. Kakashi's pupils shrank first, and he exclaimed. This is gravity space. Ding dang, it is detected that the host has acquired the gravity pupil. Is it immediately full level with one click? The ethereal voice of the system echoed in Uchiha Chinyu's mind. Chinyu secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At first, he just guessed, deduced and tried, but he did not expect to succeed once. Although the gravity pupil in front of him can only change 5 times the gravity, there are still many flaws, but in front of the system, all kinds of actions are possible. Immediately one click full level. Ding dong, please wait a moment, host. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, gravity pupil has successfully reached the full level with one click. With the ethereal system sound resounding again, a warm current emerged in Chinyu's mind, and his understanding of gravity I has undoubtedly risen to ultimate. 10 times the gravity, the longest duration is 30 seconds, and the cooling time is 5 seconds. Chinyu raised his brows. He had already deeply understood the restrictions surrounding the rules set by the world. There is no absolute invincibility in any world, and there are different worlds among creatures, including gods and humans. However, this is not important to Chinyu. Most importantly, he successfully created his own Mangekyo Sharingan pupil technique. Chapter 278-1 more step and I'll kill you. Human child, hurry up and let go, I will see how long you can last under the attack of my tailed beast bomb. Nanao Shigeki roared. As one of the 9-tailed beasts, its strength is not outstanding. But being so humiliated by people is obviously unbearable for the self-esteem of its tailed beast. In particular, at the beginning, it put down its harsh words and wanted to make Taki Shinobi Village pay enough. Hum. The air suddenly vibrated. Nanao's movement speed is limited by the gravitational space, but the mere 5 times, only at the beginning, can make it subject to the greatest restrictions. Now once you have recovered, you have to open your bloody mouth and condense the tailed beast chakra all over your body to form tailed beast bomb. This is not a difficult task. Watching, the dark chakra gathered in his mouth crazily. The chilling smell of chakra made Shiyu cry. His only thought now is to pray to Chinyu to end this battle quickly. A mortals fight, let alone mortals like them suffer. I am afraid that even their lives will not be good. However, as soon as this thought appeared, Chinyu's eyes suddenly widened again. 9-tomo Sharingan turned frantically, and a larger gravity, like a frenzy, bombarded Nanao Shigeki. Tailed beast bomb that gathered together, was instantly bitten by the closed mouth. At the same time as the thunderous explosion sounded, the huge body of the 7 tails, like a meteor from the sky, smashed hard on the rocky earth that had been shattered by gravity. Boom! The ground shattered and the air waves overturned. The earth with a radius of 1,000 meters quickly collapsed as if overwhelmed. Originally, Nanao Shigeki, who was nearly 100 meters long, was buried alive in it. When the air waves rolled back, the sand and dust dissipated, the heaven and earth returned to clarity. The scene that came into view once again made Taki Shinobu, and even Kakashi and others present, feel like they were going crazy. God, am I dazzled? Tell me quickly, this scene is not real. 1, 2, 3, there are 3 more head-tailed beasts. Is this God going to destroy our Taki ninja village? Counting the 7-tailed Chongming, the 4-tailed beasts are gathered together. Can Konoha's blood-colored Asura resist it? In such a huge scene, hundreds of thousands of Taki shinobi, I thought that after the battle just now, the nerves have been trained to be extremely strong. However, it never occurred to me that this was just the beginning. Looking at the 3 huge bodies that suddenly appeared, under the shock of my heart, I can't wait to slap myself dozens of times, hoping that I can wake up in this kind of dream. No, you can see it clearly, these are the tailed beasts in the hands of Konoha's blood-colored Asura in the major shinobi villages in the intelligence. Shiyu was the first to speak. As the head of a village, no matter how useless he is, his intelligence ability is still not small. In the face of the major events happening in the ninja world, he is also well aware of it. That's Kumogakure, S2-tailed cat, Iwagakure, S3-tailed Isao, and Iwagakure, S4-tailed Sun Wukong. Shiyu's eyes flashed past the three hill-like figures in the field. However, the more I looked at this, the more shocked the face became, and finally a look of disbelief appeared on the face, and said, what is going on here? These tailed beasts, not only have no seal fluctuations, but also control the pupil technique. There is no shadow. Yeah, that's his charm, Kakashi said suddenly. Being able to convince the tailed beast actively, I am afraid that in the entire ninja world, only he can do it. Cough, Kakashi kid, I didn't expect us to meet again. Last time you owed Laosu a grilled fish, don't run away later, go catch the fish for me. Sanwei's huge eyes rolled and landed on Kakashi. On his body, he said, if you dare to run away, I will send you flying with one tail. The sudden words made Kakashi's expression turn ashen, and Nohara Rin, who was beside him, couldn't help but burst out laughing. Let the dignified and depressed atmosphere in the field ease a little or two. This kind of laughing action made Taki Shinobu, who was present, have an inexplicable illusion. It turns out that the tailed beast is not very scary. You bastard, even if my body dissipates today, I will tear you to shreds. Nanao roared and rushed out of the ruins. When the wings vibrated, the hurricane brought up, and the sand and dust rolled, and the moment it rose into the sky, I suddenly realized that the scene was a little wrong. There were too many familiar faces in that scene. Haha, Xiaoqi, don't be old-fashioned, it's all a stinky tortoise and a dead monkey's idea. You have to hide and let the boss train you well before you are willing to come out and be an old man. Erwei was the first to speak. Directly dirty water was poured. Second tale, you guy, who was secretly having fun just now, and now he betrayed us, we will not spare you. Sanwei suddenly blew his beard and stared. However, as soon as these words fell, Siwei, who was standing beside him, quickly shifted his pace a little and stood beside Erwei. I can testify that all these nasty ideas were made by the stinky turtle. I heard that it was severely abused by the boss at the beginning, and it was unhappy that we would not come out. Dead monkey, you. Sanwei suddenly became angry, and this step on the horse is like a dumb person eating berberine. Although it is clear that the eyes of the masses are sharp. However, when Sanwei cast his hopeful eyes on the melon eaters in the field, he had already turned his head and dispersed. After seeing the monstrous might of the tailed beast with his own eyes, who would dislike the longevity of the people present to meddle with the tailed beast? This ride is looking for trouble. Okay, my pupil power has also been consumed a lot. You guys first gather together, I seem to have a guest here. Chinyu watched the three-tailed beasts hiding in the dark to watch the show appear, and he knew the actual battle. The training is unsustainable. Looking back, Nanwei Shijeming, Chinyu turned around and left. You bastard, you are a bastard. Nanwei suddenly woke up with a stunned look on his face. While screaming sharply, he intended to flutter his wings and swept away in the direction of Chinyu. However, as soon as it moved one or two times, the three-tailed beast's chakra soaring into the sky exploded like a frenzy, gathered together, formed a terrifying aura, and went straight into the sky. The clouds that were originally accumulated in the sky also penetrated in response to this blow. From a distance, it seemed as if a huge space funnel appeared in the entire sky. The violent scene made Nanao Shigeki stunned. Both tailed beasts, they thought that in the face of human enslavement, they should stand on the same front and fight violently. But now, the murderous intent of the three-tailed beasts is obviously locked on it. At this moment, Nanao Shigeki believed that as long as it moved a little or two, it would definitely die. Nanwei, if you dare to take another step, I will kill you. Chapter 279 Figure of Old Man. Take one more step and kill me. Nanao Shigeki was stunned. It never thought that the three big-tailed beasts would say such things to himself. Although, there will be disputes between their 9 big-tailed beasts. But in the face of human beings, it has always been consistent with the outside world. However, the scene in front of him completely subverted its cognition. Nanwei, I advise you to stop. The boss has shown mercy just now, otherwise you wouldn't appear in front of us alive now. Sanwei put away his usual hippie smile and said in a heavy tone. Of course, if you, who are also tailed beasts, are unilaterally killed by the boss, I think you still hope that you will die in our hands. In the face of this remark, Orwei and Siwei did not agree, but the eyes locked on Nanao had already explained it all. For a time, the atmosphere of the scene fell into silence, and after more than 10 seconds, the fierce aura of Nanao was instantly restrained, and said, I want to know, why you follow him, because you feel his strength. Are you scared, intimidated? Don't forget, we didn't give in to the kid from the Senju family and the abominable Uchiha Madara that day. Until now, I'm still resisting the fate of being enslaved. Could it be that you all really forgot? The slightly elusive voice reverberated between heaven and earth, and there was no way to disperse it for a long time. The 3 big-tailed beasts looked at each other at the same time, and said, No, you are wrong, we just saw the figure of the old man on him. Besides, he is the only one who sincerely considers us to be friends. The figure of the old man. Nanao Shigeki was stunned. For outsiders, they may not know who the old man is. But the 6 Paths Immortals are like reborn parents to their tailed beasts. Most importantly, the 6 Paths Fairy once told them that day. One day, they, who live in this world as tailed beasts, will also meet their own friends. Is this the friend you identify with? Nanao couldn't help but speak after a long time. This time, the 3-tailed beasts didn't speak, but nodded in unison. As the chakra soaring to the sky dissipated, the creepy feeling also disappeared. Looking around the huge shinobi village, apart from Uchiha Chinyu, Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi and others, and Taki shinobi village all fell powerlessly to the ground. For them, once the 4-tailed beasts faced off with swords and arrows, a battle broke out. Not to mention the destruction of the village, I am afraid that even Taki Ninja Village will be wiped off the map directly. Brother, do you really not need to worry about them? Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but glance at him. Thinking that not long ago, he had carelessly brought Nanao into the Taki Ninja Village, and almost made a big mistake, Uchiha Itachi still broods in his heart. Don't worry, they can't fight. Chinyu smiled warmly, reached out his hand dotingly, and rubbed Uchiha Itachi's head. You kid, why did you run out of the village alone? If we hadn't arrived in time, what if you were identified as Missing Nin? Missing Nin. Uchiha Itachi dodged Chinyu's hand, glared at him, and said, Who told you to leave without telling me in advance? If I am judged to be Missing Nin, wouldn't it be nice to be by my brother's side? Looking at the stubborn Uchiha Itachi, if Itachi blows in the original book to know that Uchiha Itachi, in Chinyu's hands, directly destroyed the character design, I am afraid that he will spit to death. Uchiha Itachi, Chinyu raised his brows and said, You kid, don't talk nonsense, be careful your father beats you. Brother, my dad is reluctant to beat me, he still doesn't know where I am. Uchiha Itachi showed a little smugness. However, this arrogance was quickly interrupted by a stern voice from behind. Itachi, you bastard, you left the village without authorization, and you are still saying such absurd words, don't you know how to repent? Uchiha Fugaku took Shisui, like a ghost, and appeared behind Uchiha Itachi. With a big hand on Itachi's shoulder, Fugaku, the cosmic wave, looked at Obito. Did you also turn on Mangekyo? Uchiha Obito, in the Uchiha clan, is also regarded as the tail of a crane. I was 14 or 5 years old, I had not opened Sharingan, and when I opened my eyes, it was like opening. Whether it was in the original book or the current situation, Uchiha Fugaku took a second look. Moreover, Uchiha Obito has just opened his eyes and is not very proficient in the control of pupil power. Although Mangekyo has been shut down, there is still some residual pupil power. Patriarch, big brother, you helped me to open it. Uchiha Obito looked at Chinyu one more time, and said hesitantly. Don't be nervous. Apart from you, the Patriarch and Shisui also have Mangekyo. As for Itachi, they can open it later. Chinyu patted Obito on the shoulder with a smile. However, these words fell in Uchiha Fugaku's ear, and his expression suddenly changed. Chinyu, are you saying that the most important person around Itachi died? Uchiha Madara as the first Uchiha clan to open the existence of Mangekyo Sharingan. Also know the drawbacks of Mangekyo Sharingan, but also know the existence of the eternal Mangekyo. But all along, Uchiha Madara has not chosen to mass manufacture Mangekyo owners. 1. In this way, the Uchiha clan will become entangled with each other's blood, and will eventually evolve into a blood mist-like existence, which will inevitably lead to the withering of the Uchiha clan and accelerate their decline. 2. Because of Uchiha Madara's ambition, he did not want to see members of the Uchiha family who were stronger than himself. After all, the most powerful means of the Uchiha clan is not Kaden, fire style, but Mangekyo Sharingan. Once the eyes are opened, it is like opening and hanging. The gap between the front and the back cannot be measured by common sense. 3. Uchiha Madara believes in the supremacy of personal strength. Because of these 3 reasons, even the Uchiha clan chief, who was an exception, opened his eyes unexpectedly. How to have eternal Sharingan. Uchiha clan in all dynasties have not leaked this secret because of the consolidation of their own power. Over time, it has evolved into a secret family that cannot be declared. Chinyu, do you know the consequences of doing this? Uchiha Fugaku was the first to lose his breath. Uchiha Shisui also showed a hint of urgency and looked at Chinyu. Unlike Uchiha Fugaku, Shisui is completely conservative. In the original work, in order to prevent the Uchiha family from running away, he also offered a plan to the 3 generations of Hokage, intending to use Koto Amatsukami to change Uchiha Fugaku's choice and mentality. After experiencing the opening of the eyes, with Shisui's IQ, it was obvious that the clue was calculated. When, the opening of Mangekyo, it is not anyone who can do it. It also requires talent and pure blood. Chapter 280. Let's call Sasuke. Hehe, don't worry, in the Uchiha clan, there are only a few people who can make me look right. Chinyu smiled and rubbed the head of Uchiha Itachi. Next time, if Itachi wants to turn on Mangekyo, you can find me. Hearing these words, Uchiha Fugaku secretly breathed a sigh of relief. After hesitating for a moment, he said, if a child in Makoto's belly, is there a chance? Chinyu raised his brows, he really forgot that there was another Uchiha Sasuke. In the original work, Uchiha Sasuke's early stage can only be regarded as a play, Chan oil, and there is a little more drama. As for the word genius, it didn't show much. Otherwise, it wouldn't be completely obscured by Uchiha Itachi's halo. In the later stage, it was also because of Uchiha Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan that he had the ability to have the air in seconds. Pity that Uchiha Itachi just kept Amaterasu in Sasuke's eyes. Tsukuyomi, known as one of the strongest demonic illusions, was annihilated in the long river of history. And Uchiha Chinyu, with the help of the booster eye, further strengthened Tsukuyomi. Demonic illusion on display is enough to take it seriously. Mangekyo Sharingan's awakening can be tricked into by surprise. For uncle's sake, reluctantly agree. Chinyu reluctantly touched the tip of his nose and said, Itachi, don't stare at me, I have promised you, Lao Su, I highly doubt that you will be a brokon in the future. Not even women. Brother, I don't have one. Uchiha Itachi hurriedly retorted. My younger brother, I haven't given a name yet. Father, why don't you ask my brother to pick one? Let Yutori. Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help but startled. Due to the time of the Third Ninja World War, there have been more disputes in the Konoha ninja village recently. Dissatisfaction and ambition within the Uchiha clan gradually increased. As a result, he had no time at all to name his soon-to-be-born son. Looking at Uchiha Itachi's eager face, Fugaku hesitated for a moment and then said, You brat, you have been making a splash in the ninja world recently, and your aunt is also very worried about you. I'll let you choose this child's name. In the future, that kid may be happy and proud when he knows it. Is this okay? Chinyu touched the tip of his nose helplessly. Looking at Itachi with hot eyes, Chinyu was too lazy to work his brain cells and said, Sasuke. Sasuke, Uchiha Sasuke. Uchiha Itachi was stunned for a while, and couldn't help but mutter a few words to himself. Then his eyes lit up and said, Father, this name is very good. My brother will be called Sasuke in the future. He will definitely be the same as me and become a loner. One-sided ninja. Looking at the excited Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Shisui was stunned at first, and said, This seems a little wrong, right? What if my aunt doesn't like it? For Uchiha Shisui, as the new star of the Uchiha clan, he has always attracted much attention. Whether in the village or within the Uchiha clan, it is no exception. Most importantly, he has a younger brother who deeply admires him. Also, this younger brother is a genius. This kind of feeling that the genius also looks up to is simply beyond words. However, the birth of Uchiha Chinyu turned everything upside down. The aura of genius of the Uchiha family was taken away, and the much-anticipated treatment was no exception. But what made Uchiha Shisui unacceptable the most was Uchiha Itachi's admiration for Uchiha Chinyu. I thought that this time I took the risk and rescued Uchiha Itachi, which would be able to overwhelm Chinyu. In Uchiha Itachi's heart, he re-established a figure that was admired. Uchiha Shisui's heart was aching in the face of the scene that suddenly appeared again and was in the limelight. Most importantly, the current Uchiha Chinyu seems to have another little fanboy. Although, being admired by the tail of a crane like Uchiha Obito is not a glorious thing. However, if it is the little fanboy who opened Mangekyo Sharingan, it is another matter. Therefore, in this matter of naming, Uchiha Shisui still holds the mentality of being able to suppress Uchiha Chinyu. No, I didn't expect Chinyu and Makoto to think the same. They both thought that the name Sasuke was the best. Uchiha Fugaku suddenly laughed. In fact, from the beginning, he was also a little reluctant in his heart. After all, this son was not born by the old king next door. If Chinyu hadn't rescued Itachi, and Chinyu was too attention-grabbing during this time, Fugaku would not have made such a decision. He was also secretly relieved that he could now be named the same as Makoto. Uncle, did Auntie really figure it out? Uchiha Shisui asked eagerly. Fugaku frowned and said, Shisui, your aunt has already mentioned this matter, and you have also thought about asking Chinyu to choose the name, and the name Sasuke is also very good. Why are you so concerned about this matter? Is there something unspeakable? No, I just don't want my aunt and uncle to think that this name is bad and let Chinyu's heart betrayed. Uchiha Shisui explained in a hurry. Hehe, Shisui, don't worry too much. If uncle and aunt think this name is not good, just change it again. I don't mind at all. Chinyu laughed dryly and looked at Shisui with a smile. For the original, the intention is to change the Uchiha Shisui of the entire Uchiha clan by one person. Chinyu actually guessed a little about the change in his heart. Now just hope he doesn't do anything stupid. Otherwise, Chinyu would not mind, and teach him to be a good person. Boss, are you finished talking? We are all hungry. Look at this period of time, you are busy on the road, and you are all hungry and thin. Should you cook something for us? Sanwei's voice suddenly come. He jumped onto Chinyu's shoulder, and occasionally rubbed Chinyu's neck with his hideous head. Uchiha Shisui and the others who were present, together with the people from Taki Ninja Village, couldn't help being stunned when they saw the four-tailed beast that had changed into the size of Erha. After all, in the eyes of the vast majority of people, tailed beasts are extremely vicious beings. Every time it appears, it represents the coming of disaster. However, now Chinyu has trained the four big-tailed beasts to be like Erha, and he is only about to roll around. Okay, you are covered in scales, and you really intend to rub me to death. Chinyu rolled his eyes and said angrily. Are the materials ready? Yes, it's ready. When Sanwei heard this, he immediately became energetic, and hurriedly fell down to look at the huge snow-white body of more than 10 meters by the lake. Gosh, this is the king of fish in the lake, finally caught. HMPH, don't look at who shot, I'm afraid there's nothing in the water, it's the opponent of Isao Mio. Although this fish king doesn't eat people, he always attacks people in the village. It's a good thing to be caught. However, do the tailed beasts need to eat? Why are they so excited and yawning?